Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, Panther fans? Take a seat on the longest running Panthers podcast around. It's episode number 2, season 11. Franchise tag. The NFL Combine is it. And this is the place to be to chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. I do it each and every week with my homeboys. Cody Lack, we've got a lot of fun things to talk about, from a lot of cool information coming about this coaching staff in the Frank Reich presser. We get to hear the smartest man in the building, Jim Caldwell, talking today. And we also got the NFL Combine approaching. Talk about the Panthers trading up potentially to number 1, who will fall to them at number 9, and news around the league. No one better to hang out with than my wheelman, Cody Lack. How are you?
Tony Dunn, I'm good, man. I love the Underwear Olympics. This is where we find out how fast they run, how high they jump, and how athletic they're going to be in a Panthers uniform. But listen, we had a Frank Reich press conference today, and there were a ton of golden nuggets that he delivered about the coaching staff, about who's going to call plays, about whether or not we're going to be a 3-4 defense. Jim Caldwell spoke today. Tony, there's so much to get into, but you already know we're going to spend tonight with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. We got Adam Sanders. We got our boy Drew. What's up, Drew? Algernon Ramsor, Joey the Blind Panther, D's Ill Skills, Grim Reaper, John B. Jenkins, Legacy Lynn. What's up, Lynn? Smells Like Blue, and Tim Estes. Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. We want to get your thoughts on today's press conferences by Frank Reich, as well as Jim Caldwell, kind of the news that's coming up and surrounding this team around the league, and anything that you want to talk about on the show by fans, for fans. The number's 252-228-5098. CK, I guess this is, the baby. You got a baby on the way. We've got some draft picks on the way this year, and the NFL Combine is going to start on Tuesday. Well, I think they arrive on Sunday, and it'll be kicking off by Thursday.
Dude, it's going to start accelerating, and then it's going to be a dead period for a couple of months. But man, we're gonna obviously sit here every week and absorb the NFL news coming out, from free agency to the combine to the draft. Man, it's going to be a lot to talk about, but we still have some good stuff to talk about tonight. A lot of things that have happened over the past week, and I think it's worth a good long show to talk about these coaches, man.
And the last of us, Greg, the host of the Geeks Chasing Squirrels Through the Multiverse podcast. I'm nerding out over Wolfpack right now, is my show on Paramount Plus that I'm digging into. The last of us, but you're not the least of us, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. Look, we got this combine coming up, and I'm just not a believer in the combine. The combine doesn't really do anything for me other than give me a little bit of entertainment to watch, but it doesn't convince me or make me change my opinion on a player. It made me see, like, wow, okay, that guy was faster than I thought, faster than I've heard. But once again, this is not a game. It's not a game type situation. It's not anything.
I was about to say it is a game, actually.
Exactly. It's a game. So, I mean, while I'm excited to hear the news and see the stuff, and of course hear the hype, and I love the most hearing how much people rise and fall after the combine, it just doesn't mean that much to me. Overall.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you in so many ways. I've come to the opinion that the NFL Combine should verify the things we see on tape, not overturn them in a way. And what I mean is that if you see a guy that struggles in game, but then he has all the measurables, then that should not you can't fall in love with that. But then when you see guys who have these attributes on the field and they're reinforced by their performance in the combine, I think that's where the real proof in the pudding is. As well as this is the combine's great for the guys that are bubble dudes trying to climb, right? But there's always going to be a darling. Go ahead and mark it down. There's going to be a quarterback that climbs the ranks this year. There's going to be a wide receiver that runs so fast and jumps so high, or an offensive lineman. This is always a time for guys to raise their stock if it's not at the top already. But it's still fun. What's fun about it is Cody Lack gets a Chuba over it. That's where we find people like Chuba Hubbard and learn about that. But it does give us some things to talk about. It gives us some access to guys that really, some of us that aren't following all the time. So we'll be kind of previewing. We've got Jake Deloney next week, and he's going to come on at 9:30 on Tuesday night and help us preview this combine. So we'll get into that. The other thing is this franchise tag. You're it. I think the opportunity to issue the franchise tag started today at 4 p.m., I believe. Not a lot of names on the list for the Carolina Panthers of people that we would want to do it, but there is one maybe, and some news surrounding some other players throughout the league. So we'd love to get your thoughts. Get in the chat, jump into it, be a part of the show. Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. We're like 17 away. We're there, folks. The longest running Panthers podcast is here for you each and every Tuesday. And now Cody and I have launched a new series. If you haven't heard about it, Convince Me to Care, where Cody Lack tries to convince me to care about one of these draft picks. He did a pretty good job last night. I will say that. Tyree Wilson, more interesting to me than the first guy who have already put him out of my head, these tight ends and this nonsense.
Oh, come on. We need us a tight end.
Care. And I hope you don't care about mock drafts, because Daniel Jeremiah set the world on fire today for Panther fans. And boy, he was even responding to people, man. Yeah.
He was the Panthers fans on Twitter, dude. Trust me, we go fucking crazy sometimes, But
let's jump into it, Cody Lack.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's jump in to this show. We got a little bit from Frank Reich today. He delivered his presser basically this morning, and he really gave a lot of great information, and I kind of wanted to talk about that with you all. And we're going to start right here. We're going to talk about David Tepper's role in all the coaching hires, and basically how David Tepper was one of the driving forces that made all of the coaching hires happen. So here's Frank Reich.
For that, there's no salary cap on coaches. How beneficial, and I think you alluded to at your press conference that he was behind you on that regard. How beneficial was that financial backing, as you like, especially in Zero's case where Minnesota was, but really across the board.
Yeah, and to Mr. Tepper's credit, he never flinched on that statement. It's just not, that doesn't, he's been around the block a few times in a few ways. That doesn't mean it's open checkbook. That just means we're willing to do what it takes to get the right coaches and put the right team together. So it was a good checks and balance, but he backed up what he said. I can tell you that. And we were able to compete against other teams who were vying for similar candidates, where we came out on top because of that back.
So basically what he essentially said just there was, at every moment that they wanted a certain person to be on the coaching staff, David Tepper opened up the checkbook and made sure that the number he was going to sign was going to be more than any other owner was going to pay these coaches. That's part of the reason why we have such an illustrious coaching staff right now. And he would later go on to say that, and I'll play a clip of it later, that David Tepper, they had multiple conversations for hours on end, talking about every different position, who they could get to in those positions. David Tepper would sometimes bring up certain names, and everybody would essentially be doing their own vetting process. Scott Fitterer would, David Tepper would be, and Frank Reich would be doing it as well. And then they would all put their heads together and make these decisions. I think we have to give a little bit of credit to David Tepper for, I mean, listen, he wants to say that there's basement fans. Well, he showed what it's like to live in the high rise, making decisions and breaking out the checkbook for all these fantastic Carolina Panthers coaching hires. I think he deserves some credit.
Frank Reich says all the right things, or has said all the right things, and it's really the tone, temperature, temperament of his delivery that I really love. What he did is this: is he said things like this. He said Tepper's support in the building, and his support was not intrusive, but he was involved. He did not feel like he implied. He did not avoid the conversation. He did not say and make it feel like it was overbearing. And he said that he was committed to getting a coaching staff with coaches of the highest of competencies was the way he described it. And they really went and did that. But he also, Frank Reich also, he while he answered some things, they really felt fairway answers in so many good ways. He said this: it didn't mean there was a blank checkbook. He didn't mean that he was throwing around money unnecessarily. But what he was made sure that they were going to be competitive and getting guys that were the highest competencies. And what I love about this is, look, Tepper got bamboozled already. But this is the beauty. This is the beauty of having a guy with deep pockets.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. He went out of his way to make sure that he opened up the checkbook. And frankly, he probably overpaid a little bit for just to have each and every one of these guys. But hey, if you're going to be like, what, the second or third richest owner in the NFL, yeah, you better be breaking out the checkbook,
Right.
dude.
If it's successful, it doesn't matter if he ended up overpaying in the end, to be truly honest with you. If it ends up bringing us the beginning of a dynasty or building the foundation for a team that's good for years to come, even a championship in the future, it's not overpaying. I don't feel.
Definitely.
Cody, it's your birthday?
Tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah.
How did I not do this? I feel like this. I thought we just celebrated your 30th birthday.
No, dude, it
3
just
years
it,
ago,
bro.
it rolls around.
Every
seems
year,
like
it turns out.
just yesterday, it seemed like it was my birthday. But no, tomorrow I'll be 33 years old, bro.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations, man. I've really felt like we were just celebrating your 30th.
Dude, we were.
Yeah.
We were.
Holy cow. Happy birthday
Thank
to
you,
my
man.
Will, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Now, as we went and got these guys, I don't feel like he was just slinging money around. I didn't get that impression. I just felt like this is, and it really seems that if they said that Frank Reich, one of the things that he excelled in his interviews was having like really a plan about the kind of the way to fill out a coaching staff. One of the things that I told you was a very difficult part of Matt Rule coming into the NFL was not having the connections. But Jim Caldwell himself is an example of this, is how personal relationships and that history of being involved in the NFL has given them an opportunity to forge valuable relationships and earn people's respect. So even if they have to pay these guys, he's an attractive guy to work with in this case. And all of a sudden, Carolina Panthers are a destination potentially for coaches right now. And I have to believe that gives free agents and players some confidence and some solace as well. But one of the great things about this coaching staff that he's put together is not only is it remarkably experienced, but there is a certain complementary nature to it. And they asked him about this, about how the young guns and the super experienced guys, how that balance could be a positive thing. And Frank Reich, look, sometimes you need fresh, you need energy. He referenced Deuce Staley being a different type of guy. We'll talk later about Deuce Staley, but I think he was really, when they were asking about this, they were talking about Ejiro Evero and attracting that type of guy, our offensive coordinator that we just hired for the Rams, young up-and-comers mixed with guys who've had experience. And if we go back to the Rams' success, Sean McVay, yes, young, excited, enthusiastic, up-and-coming, but he surrounded himself with guys, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that balanced him and gave him experience, NFL head coaching experience. Frank Reich has got a good blend of young talent with experience. You guys speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, and today he even spoke on the fact that he doesn't want yes men in the building. He doesn't want a bunch of people that are going to tell him just the things that he wants to hear. He wants an air where everyone can speak their mind and say the things that they want to in a respectful manner. And but by the way, even going back to speaking on David Tepper breaking out the checkbook, it's not like he was paying for just anybody. Not only was it the brightest up-and-coming names in the coaching ranks in our sport, but also tenured veterans. And, if you just look at the slide that I put up here, Frank Reich's new staff has a combined 266 years of NFL experience. If you're going to overpay, these are the type of people that you overpay for. And, it really makes you feel like there is a dedication to excellence amongst this coaching staff and amongst this ownership. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to ask, why does Frank Reich look like a giant in that photo?
Oh, God, he does.
David Tepper is a pretty short guy.
Is he? I didn't think. Yeah. I thought Tepper was.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is, like, you remember Frank Reich was an NFL quarterback.
Sure. So he's probably 6'4", 6'5" ish. I'd imagine.
He's got the height. I mean,
okay, that makes sense. He just looks like a giant in that photo.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm looking up his height right now. He's 6'4".
Yeah, I just looked it up too. 6'4".
And Tepper's probably my height. Remember when we took that picture of Tepper and myself? He's probably about my height, and I am 5'9"3/4. I like to say I'm 5'10", but my son, who's peaking at 6 foot right now, makes me feel short.
White Chocolate says happy birthday to Chris Cornell. My mom even tells me that I look like Chris Cornell, which is funny to me. But thank you very much to everybody wishing me happy birthday. But yeah, no, you were speaking about some of the younger members of our coaching staff. And listen, we've been talking about this for a while, and that is what is going to be the defensive alignment for the Carolina Panthers. And one of the things that I love about Frank Reich is he doesn't beat around the bush. He gives you straight up answers on what he intends to do. So this is Frank Reich on the Panthers, brand spanking new 3-4 defense.
Defensively, are you committed to a 3-4 then scheme?
Yeah, Ejiro's been 3-4. It'll be a base 3-4 scheme, but when we get in sub, it's really multiple. It's really multiple. There's 4 down, 3 down, 5 down. It'll all depend on how Ejiro and the defensive staff want to put our player, take advantage of our players' strengths. We'll be very multiple, but in our base defense, we'll be 3-4.
So there you have it, straight from the mouth of the man. The Panthers are now a 3-4 defense.
Wow.
And
what is that going to mean for this defense? I think we need to take a moment to talk about that.
Question. That fantastic. Well, since you brought it up, CK, let's start with you. What do you think this means for our defense going forward?
I think it means great things for Brian Burns. He's going to go back to the outside linebacker position.
Perfect.
And so that way he can switch sides. He's not going to be just a left defensive end. He's going to be able to be the Micah Parsons to our defense, right? Or what you would hope Micah Parsons or what Brian Burns would be from the get-go. But I almost wonder if this is like when you think about the way that this team is built on that defensive line. Obviously, I think it means that we need more help on the defensive tackle position than what we have. Derek Brown, I think, can hold his own, but I think that now we're gonna have to have that be a focus of getting some guys in here who are going to be able to hold their own in that position.
Right.
I don't know enough about the 3-4 defense, but I can tell you, we tried it once, and with Ron Rivera or some hybrid version of it, it didn't work out. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect, to be honest with you.
What an irony that Derek Brown felt compelled to shed some pounds
Right when we
this
need
previous offseason, and now they're going to be like, "Can you beef back up, buddy?"
Yeah. We need you to eat some more Bojangles and put back on that extra 20 pounds you
to be
lost.
like, no
But-
problem, guys.
But also, yeah, go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, do we think that this is gonna be beneficial for Brian Burns? Is the question. Like, do you think he's better in that outside linebacker position? Because I just know that, like I said, we've tried the 3-4 before. I can't remember the last time we had a 3-4, and
We
it
were
worked
old.
really well.
We were old when we did it with Rivera. That Rivera team was old.
Yeah.
Remember? I think Cody has been saying it right about that Rivera team, is that it was half-assed. It was kind of compelled.
It was a
It was towards
desperation move.
Yeah, it was the back end of everything. Tepper was coming from Pittsburgh. They run it. We haven't run one in 25 years, Greg. So, ever since the last time we ran a 3-4 was before John Fox took over.
Okay.
In
I don't remember.
2002 or something. So I think we ran one in the early 2000s or late 90s. The thing about this is, when you say how that defense is going to look, I think this is one. People tell us that Brian Burns should excel in those types of situations, and to be honest, Brian Burns should just be rushing the passer every time.
Right.
Hasn't it been annoying, at times where they've dropped, they've done different things, and you're like, man, the best pass rusher is meant to not rush the passer. So I think they'll just send him every time.
I'd be concerned with the 3-4 that they would drop him into coverage more often.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I think Luvu's going to be in that role.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think Luvu's going to be like Hassan Reddick. Can Luvu be like Hassan Reddick, Cody?
But I think it gives you an opportunity to, Luvu and Hassan Reddick are different players in my opinion. Luvu is still an incredible player. To me, Reddick has proved himself to be a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. He's that kind of incredible. So it's hard for me to make that comparison for him yet. But overall, I think this means great things for our defense. I think it's going to mean our defensive backs are going to be far more aggressive. I think it means a lot more press man coverage and manning guys up at the line of scrimmage. But also, because we're doing that, I think it's going to give our defensive front seven the ability to be much more aggressive. Get after them, beat up on them. When you have these NFL offenses that are putting up so many points every year, they're dropping back most of the time. Well, put your guys with an ability to pin their ears back, put them on the edges, and let them go and get the quarterback and get back to playing kick your ass Panther defensive football. I think this is a great thing for us.
I'm going to ask a question, but I'll tell you before I ask this question, the one player I'm most excited about this move for is Amari Barno. We're going to see this speed guy. This guy, by the way, has the fastest 40 time of any
defensive end ever.
Defensive
Did he run like a
in the
4.3
NFL
or something?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So we have a guy. That's the thing, is we have a guy. And so I think that could be helpful. But do you feel like this transition leaves somebody on the outs with this defense?
Anyone in particular?
Yeah, anyone in particular.
On the outs, man. I don't know. I mean, again, we're kind of having this discussion about Jeremy Chin and what position he's going to end up being. There's been a lot of talks on whether he's a safety, a linebacker. Thomas Davis even thinks that Jeremy Chin should get some snaps at linebacker because that's what they did to him. He was drafted as a safety out of Georgia and ended up becoming a linebacker. It does add a lot more nuance to this now that you have the 2 inside linebackers and the 2 outside linebackers, because those 2 outside linebackers are going to act as primary pass rushers on 2nd and 3rd down. So what are you going to do? Are you going to put Shaq Thompson and Jeremy Chin on the inside? Is that where Brandon Smith goes? If you put him at outside linebacker, do you feel comfortable with Chin rushing the passer?
It's
'Cause
gonna
I
be Luvu, dude. Luvu is 6'3", 236. Hassan Reddick is 6'1", 240.
Yeah, but does
I
he
don't
have all
know
the
if, and he
necessary
gets backfield
bendability?
a lot. He's been strong against the run. He hasn't
Okay.
played lean or light. I think he can, if you are ready to put him out there as a regular linebacker in so many ways, in whatever position you put, and I'll defer to a lot. I'll defer to the chat. I'm not saying I've got it figured out, but I think that Luvu, just from me looking at how he's made plays, that he's a great guy to fit into that type of scheme because you could then drop him back into coverage more. The question is, Luvu fast enough to cover? I guess maybe.
That's the thing. I don't know if he's nimble enough to be a pass rusher. Like we were talking about yesterday, Tony, with Tyree Wilson, you have to be able to bend the edge. And you have to have flexible hips. You have to be able to move your body reasonably well. And to me, Luvu is just shot out of a cannon. He sees a gap, attacks the gap, and makes a tackle. And we love that about him. I could easily see them putting him as an inside linebacker as well. Just getting him in, by the A and B gaps and just letting him dominate the run game. And that's what we're going to have to really look out for, because in recent years, the Panthers have not done a good job defending against the run.
Right.
And traditionally, 3-4 defenses, they aren't always the best at defending against the run. So it'll be interesting to see how that aspect of our defense continues to evolve now that we are a true 3-4.
Well, and he also said this. He said, remind that's the base defense. You're in it like
Right.
20 to 40% of the time, which really means on first and second down or something to that. Is that when you think of, if you're only in that defense 20% of the time, that's 1 out of 4 downs in theory.
Yeah.
But that is kind of how you build your defense from there out, in a sense. And we don't know what this team will look like after free agency and also the draft, but we do. I think YGM potentially is the person on the outs in that system.
I can
right?
see
And
that.
the chat's bringing this up a lot. So as we continue to talk about schematic diversity, we have also filled out our coaching staff. It's tell me, and I should not. I had his name written down. I just have been busy today. Thomas, the Rams guy. Tell us about our offensive coordinator. And also, we've been wondering, because we brought in Jim Caldwell. Many people thought that we learned today he would be in an advisory capacity. It sounds like a really interesting and cool role that he will be very comfortable in. But then Frank Reich, the question is, will Frank Reich be calling the plays? And we did make an offensive coordinator hire. Let's go ahead and what Frank Reich has to say about this.
I went into the process of,
yeah, so this is on who will be calling plays for the Carolina Panthers.
Thinking about calling plays, not calling plays. There is going to be some point that I'm going to pass it off. I know that's going to be hard, and I've been laughing. I've laughed with Thomas about that already. I said, I'm going to pass it off at some point. I don't know when, but, and I think there will be a time and a place, and I think it'll become apparent when that is. But, I think the right thing for me to do for our team and for our offense right now is for me to continue to kind of use my experience there, but draw on. I'll lean heavy on Thomas. I can already tell. It's been a couple days, and I've already leaned on him hard on a couple things. I had a long meeting with him this morning, and I felt wisdom, conviction, strength. So that relationship is going to be really good.
I tell you this, Cody, real quick, is that Frank Reich when he said, I've been laughing with Thomas Brown about this, who's the offensive coordinator. I just kind of feel like if I was Thomas Brown and you're like in a job or somewhere where someone is clearly of a higher position that you have to defer to, it's like one of those jokes. He's like, I'm going to pass it, nudging and laughing. And you're like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, look, personally, I like this. I'm really excited about Thomas Brown, and partly because so many Rams fans were very upset to see him go. He was the tight ends coach for the Rams. He won a Super Bowl with them. But the reason why I do like what he said is because Thomas Brown has never called plays before, at least not as an offensive coordinator, at least not to my knowledge. I didn't see anything about that. So the fact that Frank Reich has the ability to do so, and again, the fact that for the first time ever, the Panthers are going to have our head coach calling plays on offense, to me, that's absolutely perfect. And then together they can collaborate and decide on what's best for the offense. I'm sure when they're going through installs, Thomas Brown is going to have a very large say-so on what we're running and when we run it. And I'm pumped for that, man. I really think that Thomas Brown was a great hire. And again, it was partly because of all the upset Rams fans that I saw that didn't want to see him leave. And Sean McVay wanted to retain Thomas Brown, but he couldn't do it since him being promoted to an offensive coordinator. He's not going to stop his guy from being promoted, and rightfully so. And by the way, shout out to P Dubs with the $20 love bomb. He says, get with it, cuz we're winning the division next year with a 3-4. Keep effing pounding. Shout out P Dubs. Appreciate you, brother. I like this, and I like the answer. What say you guys?
CK, I was going to ask you about this. Is like Cody was saying, this kind of easing him in. This really feels like a mentorship role for Frank Reich. And here's the thing is that Frank Reich has not only had experience calling plays on a Super Bowl team with the Philadelphia Eagles, he's also had experience calling the plays as a head coach. And if sitting a quarterback in his rookie year helps develop and ease them in and put them in situations for success, could this not be a really good thing for Thomas Brown to be eased into? Maybe 1 week he's starting to write the script, next week, or and the team feels in a good place. Maybe you're winning and things like this, and you can bring him in a place where he can succeed and feel confident, rather than it going bad, being in over your head, and all of a sudden the blame going to you.
Yeah, no, I think there is going to be some benefit there. I think there's not enough. I just don't know enough about what he would be calling as a play caller for this, so it's hard for me to be able to make a judgment about that. But I do think that Frank Reich gives me a tremendous amount of confidence that he's going to be able to call plays effectively. And the fact is that it does seem like it's something that he's willing to give the reins back over to him if in fact that time does come, which hopefully it does, show. I mean, I would like to see Thomas have an opportunity to show what he's made of, and if he's able to come in here and innovate. But Frank Reich, I'm perfectly fine with him taking over this role, and I think it's the best thing for this team right now.
Greg, he spoke on this, is that this coaching staff has a diversity of offensive experience. Diversity of experience. You have 2 head coaches, successful head coaches, and Reich. Then you have Jim Caldwell. You've had the first Carolina Panthers head coach in the history of the team with Don Capers, who is now going to be a mentor to Ejiro Evero. And Frank Reich was clear to say this was not a sentimental hire, but this was a hire because of how good of a relationship he has with Ejiro Evero, and also how important of his experience and capability and ability is. He also referenced Josh McCown being the quarterback's coach, and the real attribute that he brings is that he spent a long time, even longer than Reich in the NFL, as a player, but he also played in different offensive schemes as a player. What I love when Cody said that he was clear that he wasn't a yes man, Greg, I feel like these answers show a confidence in his ability to where he's not threatened by other people's abilities.
Yeah, it's a lot of it comes from experience. It's the exact opposite of what we just came from, which makes it so much more refreshing. But yeah, like you said, I think that you're right. He's the kind of guy who said he doesn't want a yes man, but he's also not going to be run over. Like this is going to be run his way, and he has enough experience and with himself and through the coaches and players that he has that I don't think you're going to have to worry about issues within the ranks of coaches trying to overthrow Frank Reich or trying to go a different direction than he is. I think that this is going to be a good blend of coaches right here. I think between the experience and the young that you have, it's a perfect combo. And it's, like I said, it's the exact opposite of where we just kind of came from. So I think Tepper tried to catch lightning in the bottle, his first couple of years and do what nobody said you could do and show you can win, kind of a teenage mentality mindset going into it. And I guess he was kind of like a teenage owner, if you look at it like that. Now he's learned, and it looks like he's going in the right direction. And I like the way that, this experience with this roster.
Greg, or Cody, Greg said that this feels like a complete 180 from what we came from. I can't agree more, right, than with what I'm like. I feel 100. I'm 100% in accordance with Greg. And the thing that really stuck out to me, Cody, is he said, last night, McCown, Josh, and I sat around for 2 hours real late talking ball. And when he said it like that, I was like, these guys really know football. I don't know if I ever truly believed if Matt Rule truly knew football much better than rather informed people.
Oh yeah, and so by the way, I was writing my comments for Draft Tech today, and I wrote this sentence. Basically how how David Tepper needed to course correct, and how he did so by going from a coaching staff filled with Matt Rule's college cronies to a coaching staff that has 11 Super Bowl rings amongst them. Like the feel from Matt Rule and Frank Reich, in my opinion, is night and day. They seem competent. They seem to have a plan. They seem to know what they're doing. And for the things that they don't know, they seem to have a plan on how to address it, on how to go about fixing the quarterback position or fixing whatever it is on the team, because they have such a wealth of knowledge amongst all the coaches to be able to draw from. So I echo the same sentiment as you, Tony. I don't know if I've ever felt this assured in a Panthers coaching staff since maybe after 2015. Ever. Right, yeah. But then even then, I thought we were bringing back a Super Bowl coaching staff. But when you compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, this is absolutely a very, very impressive coaching staff for the Carolina Panthers.
I was talking with CK before you guys hopped on, and I told him, I said, I've never felt more at ease with a staff. And look, and I'm not trying to get overexcited. I don't want to be rose. Look, I know rose-colored glasses is like, I'm not saying like these guys are destined to have 100% success, but I've never felt, and I'm talking about, I've witnessed 3 coaching eras, right? I've watched the John Fox era. I've watched the Ron Rivera era. Then I watched the Matt Rule era. And out of all 3, I've never really felt as more comfortable with that. This guy feels fully capable. Sometimes you were just like, this is like, Ron started slow. We didn't know he hadn't been a head coach before. And it's not that I didn't trust him. That's not what I'm trying to say, is I just have like a calm. It's almost like if you're riding in the car. My son turned 15 last week. He got his driver's permit yesterday. He drove himself like he can drive me around now. He's doing fine. But if you're a passenger in a car with a guy who you don't like ride with, hasn't a lot of experience, you're kind of nervous a little bit. Frank Reich, I feel like I could go take a nap in the back of the car and wake up and we're fucking in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you feel comfortable delegating all the important decision-making tasks to him. He seems like the adult in the room. It's the difference between a guy who has been there, done that, versus a guy like Matt Rule who was pretending to have been there and done that.
Yeah, and he can work with people, Cody. He just came from an organization that has an owner who's in the top 5 of crazies of NFL owners, right? Yeah. Jim Irsay. And then they have a GM who has been known for being a power monger, and he was able to successfully navigate and work with those guys. And now he's coming into this situation. He feels like this. I bet you Scott Fitterer is breathing easy. It seems like he can talk with Tepper and Tepper respect his, but not run him over too. I've never felt more at ease. I don't know why. I hope I'm not just putting the rose-colored glasses on, but I tell you, it just seems like he belongs there.
Greg, are you feeling a little bit better about Frank Reich? I know your initial opinion wasn't like you weren't in love with him, but how are you feeling now?
I feel pretty good. I mean, it's never not that I wasn't ever really in love with him. He just wasn't my top choice, and we had my top choice, like a few of my top choices in the building. So it was kind of difficult, but I didn't want to go in not giving him a chance. And so far, everything I've seen, I've been highly impressed with, and I'm excited for what's going forward.
Cool. CK, you feeling good about this?
Dude, I feel much better. Again, I wasn't high, I wasn't low on it. I was just kind of about it. But man, the additions of this coaching staff, it's hard not to look at this and think, man, I don't know that we're in a rebuild anymore, right? I think that there was a sense that we might be. I feel like this coaching staff is going to look at this roster, and I think they're going to be able to come to terms with some good free agents out there that look at this roster or this coaching staff and think this is the place to go and play, right? Because I mean, you just got so many people that have been there, have played this game, and I think players respect that more than anything is when they have a coach that's played in the position in the NFL and had some level of success in doing so.
Yeah. Do we think that we're at risk to lose a lot of these guys after one season if we experience some modicum of success?
I'm going to tell you why we're at risk of losing some of these guys. I think, you know how the league was pissed at Tepper for doing what he did with Rule? Yeah. I think that they're pissed at Tepper for doing what he did this year as well with the hiring of all these coaches. And I could see a scenario where they not only hire our offensive and defensive coordinators, but potentially some of the offensive assistants off of us into the other offensive coordinator roles. And so I could see them doing almost just as a FU to Tepper for doing what he's done, which again, opinions are opinions when it comes to whether he should have done what he did. But I think he's got he knows what he wants, man. And the dude is just ready to have this team be successful. And I can't help but appreciate that.
Oh, they're going to forget about that, CK, as soon as they have to start paying these quarterbacks now. They're going to turn all to the Browns and Deshaun Watson contract, and that's who there is under there in their sights at this moment. But those would be good problems to have, right? Is that if you are having enough success to where your team is a place that people want to poach. And by the way, Indy he had to deal with this in Indy. All the guys that were in the damn Super Bowl were on his team, were under his coaching staff. I think that we are very positioned, particularly with Jim Caldwell there. I'm sorry, like we can weather those storms. I truly think, and he was even asked about this in the press conference today, but where I think he has excelled, or not excelled, I think he shows you he's been there, done that, but done this before. He feels confident and comfortable. Caldwell, too, same way. Caldwell, I feel, is the smartest guy in the building. Like, I just think, like, he's just too smart. Like, it's almost like, good God, it's intimidatingly smart. But these guys never overreached on a question, and they never dodged a question. They were asked about how they felt. We continued to want to hear them say, "Oh, I came here because the roster is great. Oh, I came here because of this." And they were like this. They answered the question. They're like, "Well, look, we're just doing this. We just got here." And Cody, they were asked today about the quarterback position and the hot name in free agency that is out there being shopped around, Derek Carr. And I think not a sidestep, but this is the answer you have to give.
And I think it was the honest to God truth as well.
The right answer.
We asked you about quarterbacks a few weeks ago. since that time, Derek Carr is available. Will you guys bring him in on a visit?
Interesting question. We're really literally sitting down with the guys today for staff. First staff meeting will be tomorrow. But I've kind of met with guys individually saying, okay, here's what we're doing. First step one, let's evaluate our roster. So we're really just starting that process. So step two, evaluate the free agents. Everybody got their list. Okay. Step three, now, going to the college guys. So that process is a little bit done. So we're really not ready to address the specifics of that because we're really just beginning.
We asked you about.
So it was very honest, man. It was saying that they haven't even really gotten to that part of their evaluation yet, and how he even said during the press conference, tomorrow they're all going to be in a room together and they're going to start really evaluating the entire roster as is for the first time as a Panthers coaching staff. And you have to do things in order. Tony, I know you talk a lot about what, the David Gettleman-isms and the things that he used to say and the things that you should do, never drafting hungry and all these things. Well, one of the things that he always did say, and look, say what you want about Gettleman. He may not have always taken his own advice, but he did have some good nuggets from here and there.
That was his only problem, that he didn't take his own advice.
Never followed his right. But he would talk about how your free agency is absolutely key to setting up your draft. And right now, the Panthers staff is tasked with looking at the guys that they have, how much money do they have, and can they free up in a reasonable amount of time? What players, one, that's on our team do you want to retain? And then who else is out there that we can bring on that can help bring our game to the next level? And as a staff, 100% of your focus has to be on that. You're going to have your guys that are going to the combine and, taking measurements and all this stuff, and they're gathering data for later. But right now, it's a first things first type of mentality in the building. And I love that, man, because it tells me, yes, they're going about it the right way.
It's the right way to do it, the exact right way to do it. And what I love about this is that the reason you feel like he's being honest, because he is. He's not trying to sell you something you want to hear. And if we go back and look at Matt Rule's press conferences at this same time of year, like in this moment, he's out there sucking off Cam Newton and then cutting him 2 days later.
Not even just that. He would not answer a damn question to save his life. He would just, yeah, he would just,
at the end of the day,
and we would defend him like that's coach talk, right? What else are you supposed to say in that situation? But I mean, when he's honestly answering that question in the best way he possibly can right now, as far as Reich is, and it's not sounding like he's dodging it. He's like, listen, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. We don't know the answer right now. And I appreciate that. Honestly, I appreciate the fact that he's not coming out here. And honestly, even if you want to talk about Jim Caldwell, he was asked a similar question. He's like, I haven't even had an opportunity to sit down and review the tape of the guys on this team. I'm not gonna sit here and give and
blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah, and tell you what I think about a roster that I haven't really had an opportunity to evaluate.
I love it.
And I appreciate those guys, man.
I love when Caldwell said this. He said, and it's also great not having to answer some of these questions because I'm not the head coach. Like, I don't have to answer some of these questions.
Did you also see the part where they asked him about David Tepper? And he's like, well, I don't know if I'm in a position to be nitpicking my boss, but he seems really personable. And, I didn't want Caldwell to be the head coach of the Panthers when he was a name being brought up. But now that I've listened to him and I've heard him, and I get a feel for the type of man that he is, dude, I am so happy to have that guy on the staff, man, to be able to.
I tried to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to, give his advice and his expertise to, not only the players, but the coaches as well. And you're right, Tony, his intelligence, it just jumps out at you. So
he's not trying to be smart. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to be smart. You just know that he is. He's so well-spoken.
Right.
He's so polished. And I think the only reason I wouldn't be excited for him to be the head coach is that he's almost too smart and too in neutral Like it's like he's just like the opposite of me. Let's just put it that way. He's like got the opposite personality of me. And when you talk about this, I mean, I told you I would be happy with either one of those guys being the head coach. I told you that my dream would be Caldwell and Reich as the offensive coordinator, and or Reich and Caldwell. Completely happy with this. But they started to articulate some of the roles today, Cody, that this coaching staff would take on, because we heard about Jim Caldwell joining this coaching staff, but he was not named offensive coordinator. We heard Deuce Staley joining this coaching staff and being named assistant head coach. And Frank Reich was very clear. It seemed like had a distinct vision in his mind what these roles would be. He said this, what I took away from was this, is Caldwell's role was going to be supervisory in many ways to all of the coaching staff, much like a like a head coach has to take under their umbrella, right? Like a vice president, I guess. But I would call it I wrote down supervisory or advisory, like a mentor to every coach on that team. And he said that Deuce Staley would be the assistant coach, and that was not in name only, but that was actually in the management of the game, addressing the team, being like taking on those responsibilities. And I felt like and again, going back to Dom Capers said, this isn't a sentimental how. I feel like they really have a clear vision. And maybe that is truly what attracted Jim Caldwell. Said the location was attractive, but he turned down offensive coordinating positions. And he said this, they said, can you speak to anything about why you took this job over other jobs other than your relationship with Frank Reich? He said, there's really not much to talk about other than my relationship with Frank Reich. I felt completely comfortable coming here, was clear what that was Frank Reich is the reason we have Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, well, didn't he also say that even when he was with Detroit, that most of his family still lived here in North Carolina?
Yeah. They
so
all live here.
Yeah, that's another point. It feels like for a lot of our coaches, this is representative of a homecoming. Like it really does feel like that. Even Deuce Staley, he has a mom in South Carolina that he wanted to be closer to. So it just seems like for not only their professional careers, but for their personal lives as well, it seemed to be just a culmination of a perfect circumstance for all these coaches to come here at this point in time. And Tony, we're not even done talking about some of the hires, man, because right after we got done Tuesday, it seemed like there were even more coaching hires that we had to talk about. But what did you say? Tell me what you think, Tony. You want to jump into some cat calls and see what these Panther fans are having to say?
I do. I want to mention one other thing, though, about the location, destination. One of the things is I think it kind of speaks to the attractiveness of North Carolina as a state. As that look, as Frank Reich talked about, when they settled down here, they stayed, even though they knew they were going to be moving around as a football family. Is that there was something about North Carolina that was attractive to them. So the state of North Carolina, look, the reason Jim Caldwell's family, his children and his grandchildren live here in North Carolina is because he was the head coach of Wake Forest, right? So you have these, and it shows, I just think it's interesting to hear people speak so fondly of Charlotte as a city, but North Carolina and the region and the 25 years of us having to hear small market, nobody cares about Charlotte. I think it kind of shows that, is that like now all the Northerners went to Florida and they're kind of inching their way back up. Like, is North Carolina really feels like a destination state right now for a lot of people, and not just in the football world. So yeah, let's get into the cat calls. We want to hear what you feel about this, because there's only one coaching position that has not been announced, and that is the tight end coaching position. He said would be announced in 24 to 48 hours. But we even got D'Angelo Hall joining this coaching staff, former Atlanta Falcon. Ugh. But somebody in the chat had some great comments. If we really things come push to shove, we could put Josh McCown and D'Angelo Hall in there.
Yeah.
They probably still got some juice in the tank. Yeah, let's get into these cat calls, my friend.
All right, and sure, real quick, let me read some super chats because I've been instructed by White Chocolate. Eric37 says with the $2 love bomb, my optimism is more genuine than last year. White Chocolate Espresso says, who's still crying about Peyton? Not this guy. See, he's got a showboat. He's got a peacock. Everybody hated Sean Payton. Listen, we're all happy about Frank Reich, and I think you should be too. So without further ado, let's jump into some cat calls at 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Why isn't it playing? Can you not hear it?
Nope.
Good old Frankie.
No,
right.
Sorry, my
I don't know about y'all podcast brothers. How y'all doing? It's G Cavassier.
What up, G?
Man. What y'all think about those press conferences today, man, with Caldwell and good old Frankie? Right. I don't know about y'all, but I feel so damn anxious for the season to start. Doesn't seem like both of them talk like they know what they're talking about. It didn't seem like, when Matt Rule was the damn coach, he just babbled and babbled and babbled and babbled. Did y'all notice that shit, or was it just me? I noticed that shit. I'm telling you, man. I think the South is going to be ours this year. I really do. I really, really do. And I give two fucks if New Orleans gets a new quarterback, or if fucking seriously doubted Lamar Jackson goes to Atlanta. I don't give a damn. I truly believe the South is going to be ours this year. And I see us going to the playoffs. And I said that shit before in the past and had to eat crow. But this season, with these coaches, oh my God, man. What rookie wouldn't want to come to a coaching staff like this, especially quarterback, or a seasoned veteran quarterback with this coaching staff that we have? Hey, I'm excited, y'all. I don't know how you guys feel, but I am excited. We got to put the pieces together and just play some damn football come September, y'all. All right, now, keep pounding.
Keep pounding, man. I love the press conferences. I love the feel from these coaches. And yeah, you're right, G. There's no reason why the Carolina Panthers couldn't absolutely run through the NFC South next year, man. There's so much turnaround with every team in our division. We don't know who the starting quarterbacks literally any team in the NFC South, we don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. There's been coaching changes. There's just so much going on right now. Tampa Bay just lost Tom Brady. Yeah, if this Panthers team, if we're able to settle down on the quarterback position, find the guy, be it Matt Corral or someone in the draft or Derek Carr or whatever they end up doing, and get this defense back to purring, back to getting aggressive, pinning their ears back, and rushing the passer, yeah, man, we can take away the football. We can do everything that we need to do. We just have to put the pieces together, and I think that we have the coaching staff to do it.
All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, gentlemen, Daniel here. Hope y'all are doing well.
What up, Daniel?
And, oh, man, it's been so many years since I've been this excited, man, but just hearing this coaching staff, just speak, man, it's like it's such fresh air that we're breathing right now. It's so different than the crap that we would always get with Matt Rule, so I'm cautiously optimistic, but man, this is sounding great, and I just sit here and talk about all the points that I heard throughout this press conference, man, but it would take me all night. So, I think that the main thing that I took out of it all is how he doesn't want anyone to be a yes man. He wants everybody to have their own thing, bring their own thing to the table, and just keep their mind. That to me is huge. But we'll hopefully all of this will translate into the free agency and the draft, and just hang on for a wild ride. Hopefully a good one. But as always, gentlemen, keep out.
I love the call. I think a lot of us are sharing that same sentiment. And I go on Pirate Radio on Fridays at 4 p.m. Talk Carolina Panthers and NFL news with my good buddy Clip Brock, who I grew up with. And Clip is a Commanders fan, and he's been doing radio long enough to where he doesn't get too high. He usually is probably too low, just living in depression in so many ways. Like, he doesn't ever get excited. He was asking me, when everybody on the internet, because he has so many people that are Carolina Panther fans that are involved in his show because of location. He was saying, man, I've never seen a guy like a Giro ever where not a single person is negative on him. And he actually wasn't giving this as a compliment. He was like, also just like, is everybody just jumping on board with zero hesitation, just saying this is the greatest thing I've ever heard? But as you look at the composition of the coaching staff in its totality, there's an ease. There is a security that comes with me that right away I feel comfort. I don't feel the anxiety that even comes with the necessity of this coaching. Like when we had Matt Rule and the Joe Brady, there was hype around those names, right? And let's not lie, is that, I was first, I want to be optimistic. I want to cheer for people to succeed, not to fail. But we were just listening to what the talking heads had told us about Matt Rule as the program builder. And then we listen to people tell us that Joe Brady is this offensive mind. We have some of those moments of excitement here, but we really have like real proven capability. And I feel like I can close unlike riding in the truck with my son, I can close my eyes and take a nap and feel comfortable that we're going to arrive at our destination safely.
Same. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling the same optimism. And I said this on the free-for-all. I love it when Panther fans are feeling optimistic, because there hasn't been a lot to be optimistic about the past few years. But now we have a reason, man. And it seems like we have a good reason to be optimistic.
And our optimism, I think my optimism is much different than other moments in this way, is that we tried to be optimistic going into this past season. We tried to find silver linings, and there were a few, to be honest, securing some coaches that like Tabor and Campen, even McAdoo, arguably. And if we go back when we did all the picks, we were trying to generate and manufacture excitement in wins. That's what we were trying to say, is that, man, if we could get 9 wins, that's where our excitement was, is like, if we can find a way. I haven't in my head tried to put a number on this excitement. I haven't put a win total on the excitement, because I feel like it doesn't matter. My excitement isn't based on just immediate returns. I just feel confident in my investment. If I'm buying a stock and then I turn on the stock ticker tomorrow and it doesn't go up, I'm not like, oh God, maybe I made bad. I can feel confident, like, hey, Apple is a good investment.
I get what you're saying, but are you basically saying that you're okay with being somewhat mediocre for the next couple of years? It means that we're building something that could be good for 10, 7 after that?
No, I just don't think
because if you have people that are building something, it shouldn't take that long.
I agree. That's what I mean. Like, I guess, I don't know. I just feel like the only way to equate success from right now, from where we came from last year to us where we're going moving forward, is wins, in my opinion.
No, that's always how you can, I guess, quantify success, Greg. Like, that's always, like, I mean, those are real measurements, right? So if you go and you only win 2 games, you haven't had success. But what I'm saying, I think this is the way I'm trying to figure out how to articulate my feeling, is that I felt like if we didn't win 10 games last year,
Mhm.
right? That like you have no confidence in this coaching staff. Like it was like nine, I still wouldn't have been enough.
Okay.
8 wouldn't have been enough. I feel like if we fill whatever that number is for someone that quantifies success, if we're one game short of that, or one game over, or 2 games, or I don't feel like panic. Like, right away. I mean, yes, I want us to succeed, but I don't think I go out there and go, well, if we don't go 9-7, then we're a failed team.
I got you. You may
Or
not be able to
9-8.
walk the tightrope, but you got a safety net now. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it does. It
Okay.
just doesn't feel so dependent. It's kind of like on a company that's meant for a growth stock. All right, think about this is just to continue with the stock analogy, is that either an IPO, right? So I bought PayPal when it came out on IPO, and they had since that company was so big already, they had people who had early access to the IPO. So like,
right.
I don't know how, whatever the investors, people that owned the company before it went public, got early access. So when I bought it, it wasn't the lowest possible number you could have ever gotten in on. I bought it at $44 a share, and it went down immediately. And I didn't go, oh, PayPal, I wish I wouldn't have bought this stock. I believed in that company, and it doubled my investment later on. I just feel like rule and that uncertainty is just the fine line of having to succeed is so much about the confidence. So for instance, like if Apple misses their earnings call by a few percentage points and their stock takes a 4% hit for a week or two, I'm not like, oh, Apple.
Right.
But I am like that on companies that don't have that stability.
Right.
That's, I guess, how I'm sure. I just don't feel one win is going to say, oh, this guy sucks or he's great. The difference between,
okay, I get it.
What would they call that? Like what do they call that when when I get my student feedback, it's when they do these averages and you're like above the differentiation. You guys ever seen that? So it's like how you relate to the median.
Oh, yeah.
Differential.
Something like that. Anyway, let's go to the next call. I think this is Anthony in Charleston.
Yo, what is up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What's up, Anthony?
Just wanted to start out by saying, I'm gonna start my own YouTube channel, man. Y'all inspired me a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be posting like videos on breaking news and stuff. I got myself a mic, and me and Greg have been conversing about potentially an NBA podcast, so that's gonna be great. But I want to appreciate y'all. You motivated me a lot with this networking and podcast stuff, and you all are the best Panthers podcast by far. So just wanted to thank y'all. And on to
appreciate you, man.
What's going on right now? So there's a press conference today. I'm pretty sure I didn't get to watch it, but I saw some clips from it. Reich and Caldwell talked a lot. I love the things Frank Reich was saying, man. Like, I think he has a real vision with this team, something that we've needed for years now. Is that he said he wants sustained long-term success, and I really love that. I'm actually happy that I was wrong, because I had a feeling that David Tepper would put a lot of pressure on him to win now, and I feel like we can win now and build for the future. So I really like the fact that he wants to create long-term sustained success. That's how you keep your coaching job, by building a culture. So I really think that also says that we will be drafting a rookie quarterback this year, whether it's at pick 9 or trading up. As for Caldwell, he said he's not even looking to be a head coach. He wants to be here and help build this organization up, which I like a lot too. I think his experience is going to help us in the long run. He's been a head coach. I think his record overall is like 62-50. That's great. So, I think him and Reich are going to be really leading this offensive charge to change us around, modernize our football game. And yeah, man, I mean, I think I love what this coaching staff is doing. I can't wait for the new season, the draft. I mean, man, I haven't been this hype about the Panthers in a while. Well, I was actually hyped last year when I thought Baker Mayfield would be our next guy, but man, that was a terrible take that I will still eat crow for to this day. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the press conference, the quarterback situation. Anthony from Charlotte, love the work y'all boys do. You already know. C3 for life. Keep motherfucking pounding.
Hey, shout out to Anthony, man. Fantastic call. And by the way, that was one of my goals, low key, with the free for all, is to get people the courage to kind of start doing their own thing. It's fun. You have a good time doing it.
It
And
took you a minute to do that.
yeah, man. You know,
is getting up there, getting out
Yeah.
there, and feeling comfortable in your skin
right.
is a big deal.
A lot of people feel like there's something special that we
No.
have to do. And hey, we're pretty good at what we do.
Thank you.
You develop a flow. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you enjoy being a part of fascinating discussions when it comes to football, basketball, whatever, yeah, man, you might as well make your own content and make it known. And by the way, I always give everybody who comes on to Free for All the opportunity to promote their own content, because I believe the rising tide lifts all boats. So
It's true.
shout out to Anthony, man.
Another true. That's just true. In this is that's another thing I believe about my experience on the internet is like I'm rooting for everybody. I have a capitalistic mindset, not a old mercantilist where it's like, you have to occupy the market shares. That's I feel like an antiquated view of the world. Now circling back though, I guess Greg is Anthony helped me on what I meant by that, or what I meant by this kind of confidence, and it doesn't necessarily have to be equated in wins alone. I think maybe it's because I'm confident that this team, I'm ready to bet that under Frank Reich's tenure as the Carolina Panthers head coach, we will, for the first time in our team history, go back-to-back seasons at some point with a winning season. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year and next year, but before he's fired, I feel confident. Like, I think the odds are, I really truly believe that we will, under his tenure, have our first back-to-back winning seasons. And I kind of just feel like this is like anything below 7 wins for Frank Reich is going to feel like a losing season. I mean, I know that is a losing season technically, but we would have been like, you're like, oh, well, we're building and you got to let this team. I almost feel like with almost any roster, Frank Reich is going to get us close to that 500 mark.
Do you know how whenever you're like driving somewhere and you don't know where you're going, it always seems like it takes so long to get there because you don't know where you're going. But when you know where you're going, you can actually go back the next day and you know where you're going. It seems like a shorter trip. I feel like that's the difference in where we're at. You're with Matt Rule and you're blindly following something. You have no idea where you're going, when you're going to get to your destination. So it feels like an eternity of just nothing.
Yeah. Is it
With
an
these
hour
guys,
away?
It feels like
Is it...
you have a path, Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So does anybody in here, would you guys be willing to put money down on if that was an odds? Like, is that the Panthers before Frank Reich is fired or retires, whatever, before his departure, in ever what way, that the Panthers will at least have won back-to-back winning seasons? I'm comfortable placing that bet.
Yeah, based on the situation where the NFC South is right now, then yeah, I'd say yes. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch.
Caldwell has had, both of these guys are the first coach. Caldwell's the first coach to go 12 wins straight as a rookie. Now, he did have Peyton Manning, right? But at the same time, these he had Detroit looking somewhat respectable. Yeah. I really feel like I'm feeling happy about this. We want to get your thoughts, guys. Would you be willing to bet on the Carolina Panthers getting their first back-to-back winning seasons under Frank Reich? That does not need to be right this moment. It doesn't need to be this year, next year, but could it be 23, 24, 25, 25, 26? I feel comfortable taking that bet. Maybe we should open up the odds, and maybe I should be the book on that. Oh, wait, we can't sports gamble in North Carolina. Never mind. Theoretically, if you're listening, government. Next call.
What's up, C3? This is P-Dubs. I'm calling in for the first time.
Hey.
I'm newer to the podcast, but I'm a native Charlottean and have been a huge Panther fan from day one.
Happy to have you, brother.
Call and say how much I love what you guys are doing. The community is incredible. It's great to hear all the passionate Panther fans out there and different opinions and views, even the ones I don't necessarily agree with.
Wonder who he's talking about.
It's been a blast. Listening to the podcast and really starting to get involved. A few quick thoughts. I was a huge Steve Wilkes guy. I would, my heart hurt that he didn't get the job, but I understood the decision. I think we all understand that, the league is moving in an offensive direction, and Tepper made no bones that he wanted to hire an offensive mind. And I hate to say it, I know I'm going to get a bunch of shit from people, but we got to give Tepper credit. And you got to give him credit for, one, hiring Wilkes or promoting Wilkes to begin with and stabilizing what was just a complete cluster mid-season. And then, two, I think you got to give him credit for hiring Frank Reich. And, we all know that Rat Mule was just a complete fiasco. I think Tepper recognized his mistake. He's just too awkward to admit it in a public forum, which is why his interviews or press conferences are always just a complete disaster. But I think we got to give him credit for the hire. I am fired up about this coming season, about the staff that Frank Reich has put together. We've got so many different options. From a personnel perspective, it's going to be fascinating to see what Fitz does in the draft. Are we going to get a quarterback? I don't know any more than you guys know, but it's fun to speculate about what might happen. I think free agency is going to be a huge part of it. And you know what? We're taking the NFC South next year. We're going to the playoffs, and we're hosting a playoff game. Thanks for everything you guys are doing. It's great.
Let's go P-Dubs, man. Dude, for a first-time caller,
Epic.
That's how you do it, baby. That's a hell of a call. Shout out to P-Dubs, and thanks for being part of the community, man. As a matter of fact, CK, why don't you welcome that man with the golden pipes, man? Tell him thanks for being a C3 fan.
It was a P-Dubs?
P-Dubs, oh yeah.
P-Dubs. I want to welcome you to the C3 community. We have all been here. We've all been through the highs. We've been through the lows. But we're here to talk it out, enjoy each other's company, build this community, and be a part of each other's Panther fandom moving forward. And we just want to appreciate you for joining in on the conversation. Keep pounding.
Hey, shout out to P-Dubs. But hey, boys, you see what I said earlier? The optimism is running rampant through Panther fandom right now, man. People are believing that we've hired the best coaches for the job, the best men for the job. And even a public opinion on David Tepper has gone the complete opposite direction.
Has improved.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to point out to the caller what I think was a great point is that when he talked about Tepper admitting he was wrong and he may not have said it. I really feel like this actually is some restored confidence in myself a little bit in David Tepper, that he wasn't just a billionaire on tilt at this point. That's a poker terminology for when you get bad beat, you doing the right things, and you are just so emotionally that you swing back and forth. And for a moment, it really felt like Tepper was on tilt. And I want to say that this staff, that he didn't get seduced by the Sean Payton, that he didn't overreach. It really feels like what we thought was going to be so many of his strengths that he could bring from that kind of stock market mentality, maybe are returning. Maybe he's getting his wits and senses back about him to where I don't know. This really feels appropriate, I guess.
I think as a billionaire, a trait that you have to have is knowing when you've made a terrible mistake and when to move on from that mistake and cut your losses and move in the right direction. You know,
there's a fine line, Cody, though, when you're a billionaire, that you get into the point where you just believe your own hype. And you're
true.
right about that. You're 100% right, is that usually the people that succeed in life are the ones who can find ways to rein that in. But as we watch like Elon Musk out there right now, I mean, there are moments where you have to realize too, like, have you had so much success where you don't think you can't listen to other people? You can't admit you're wrong. And this really felt like a correction for David Tepper, a correction for this organization instead of, the opposite. In fact, let's go ahead and jump into the prize picks real quick. Let's not forget.
Real quick, Anthony donated with a $2 love bomb. He said, "This is the Panthers' time now. Keep pounding." Shout out to you, Anthony.
Don't forget the C3 Panthers podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks. It is your number one daily fantasy football sports website app where you can play real money legally in North and South Carolina and more than 30 states. You can play daily fantasy football sports. Now, though, because there's not football, you can go to MMA, boxing, NBA, baseball's coming up.
Counter-Strike Go. Yeah, they even do esports, ladies and gentlemen.
And just as I guess as like kind of to segue what I was talking about, that tilt that need to correct. I got to tell you this is I'm on tilt. I have been on an epic losing streak on Prize Picks, right? And what I've done is really when I won on Prize Picks, I did a lot of flex plays. I didn't shoot for the home runs. I just tried to hit doubles and singles, get on base, get a man over, get them in. But once I started losing, I felt like, oh, I just need one big one, right? So if you want to hit singles, doubles, triples, or hit the big one, you go to Prize Picks and you don't do what I do. First of all, whatever I do the opposite. But you have to use the promo code C3 because you get a 100% deposit bonus. And right now, I got a little bit on these hockey players. I don't want to speak too quickly. Today is the 21st, right? 9:08. These games are in play. I went under on goals for both of these guys. I could use this one, but I went a little hard in the paint, guys. And what I'm saying is David Tepper had a big loss. He went out there and struck out in a big moment with Matt Rule. He got back up to the plate with Frank Reich, and instead of trying to swing for the fences, said, let me hit a double here. Get on base, bunt this man over with Jim Caldwell, and get a man over, get him in. And you can get a man over and get him in by going to Prize Picks and winning real money playing daily fantasy sports. I just got to say is like, I've just got to, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. We'll just talk about the pick that I made yesterday. And it goes, my entries. I put in $5. I didn't go for the sixer. See, that's where I've been going crazy. I'm like, oh, let me get this 4 and try to take this 20 and send me to 200. And I'm right back where I need to be. I need to just chip away one win at a time. So I took the less than on Austin Matthews forward for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. If these guys don't score tonight, they don't score a goal. It's hard sometimes to score a goal in the NHL. I turned my $5 into $15. Get a man on, get a man over, get a man in playing daily fantasy football sports using the promo code C3 at Prize Picks, and they will match your first-time deposit of up to 100%. Cody Lack, you've had some success. My bastard son has had some success, and Drew is out there playing. He's playing fantasy video games. Imagine if you were sitting on the couch watching your friends play video games. This is what I think the irony of streamers is. People watch people play video games on the internet. Do you know how irritating it was as a kid to have to sit and watch your friends play video games and them not pass the controller? And now we do it and we pay them to do it. And now we're sitting there not gambling, but playing daily fantasy football sports on our friends playing video games in front of us.
Dude,
Crazy.
I mean, literally any sport that you can think of, Prize Picks does it, man. So if you want to support the C3 Panthers podcast, best way to do it, hit up our sponsors, man. Use promo code C3 when you sign up.
Well, the coolest thing about it is you can mix sports. So I can do an MMA, I can do a basketball, I can do college basketball, I can do football, all in one bet. And now they have stuff out that today, I think Drew was showing me earlier. You can bet now for like the rest of the NBA season. Like you can bet this, or not bet, but put a wager that this guy's going to score 20 points at least 4 more times this season. And there's like 23 games, 24 games left for most people. Like they do all kinds of crazy things. Second half betting, first half betting, first quarter betting. It's pretty insane.
It's fun. Prize Picks,
Yeah.
I got to tell you this, is so many people have signed up using the promo code C3. So many people message me. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to my buddy Trey I met this weekend. I was hanging out at a local watering hole. My man comes up to me and goes, I listen to the podcast all the time. So Trey from Plymouth, North Carolina, now living in Greenville, I believe, and I think he lives here in Greenville. Thanks for listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. You know what I asked him? One of the things I asked him is, what do you think? Is it too long? You know, what do you think about the super long? He said, bro, like I listen to it at work. He's like, the more and the longer, the better for me. So it's always nice when you get he came up to me. He's like, I know you, dude. I love what you do. It was just great hanging out and meeting people like P-Dub said, that community.
Yeah.
And that's what we're building is it's not about, let's circle it back to Frank Reich real quick. I will tell you a genuine thing right here that has stuck out to me in his interviews, not only his original press conference statement, but his what he did in his press conference. I mean, his introductory press conference a couple of weeks ago, but what he did today, he continues to come back and say, this is about the players. This is about the players, and it doesn't feel forced. He knows he's been a player in the NFL. He knows the players win the games. He knows that they're there to put them in the position to succeed. And what I love about this is it doesn't feel about Frank Reich. And what I've met when I met Trey, I didn't want this to be about me, this podcast. I want it to be about all of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, number one, I feel like I need to bring something up because I think it's gonna be because you talked about that with Frank. By the way, Trey, welcome. We're happy to have you. But you talked about that. This is, if I'm being honest, Frank Reich's press conference should be making Greg jump up and down for joy, because the thing that he said was that the winning games is 90% on the players and 10% on the coaches, right? And I think that that's such an honest answer that he is basically putting that, but it's also putting that responsibility on the players too. And I like that at the same time. But that I was just sitting there thinking about it that entire time today. I was like, oh man, that's going to get Greg jumping over the moon for this guy.
It doesn't,
because there's just been this constant, is it coaching that they can't tackle or is it that they're just not good at the game? Like, so it was it's an interesting thing to see that happen, but
I like it.
You know, when you look at Nick Saban's success at the collegiate level, is so much that people have talked about, or at least I have a friend that's a big Alabama fan, and he always talks about a coach being a guy that is positioning guys for success. You know, and it's not what they do necessarily that change. They're nourishing success in a way. You know, is that if you're a parent and your kids, you know, I get so many compliments about how my kids are and things like this. And I always joke in so many ways that, like, I didn't do this. And you know what? To be honest, I didn't. It's not because of me, you know, not like, but what I'm saying is this is like you have to put your kids in a position to succeed in life. That means failing. That means you can't live their lives for them. And it's not, and when you're a parent and you make it about yourself, that's problematic. And it feels like this guy says this is not about me. It's yes, I want to be very good at my job. I want to be successful at my job. But that means supporting these guys in a way that maximizes their success. And I felt like Matt Rule was me guy. What I can do, what I can do, what I can do. And Frank Reich, what he said is this. He said he tells his coaches, they try to put numbers on this. Is it 10% or 20% that the coaches, 80% players, 20% coaching? He said, I don't care really what number it is, whether it's 10 or 20. We have to get the 100% of our 10%. We have to get the 100% out of our 20%. So what he knows is that, and he said that's the difference between a game or two or three throughout the season. Right. It feels exactly the opposite of Matt Rule, exactly the opposite of the concern. Frank Reich was a player in the NFL. He knows these guys know what it takes to win. They have been in rooms where guys are feeding them bullshit, and it just feels safe. And it doesn't feel safe as in we punted. It feels safe. I feel like I'm an Italian kid. I'm a mama's boy. My mom, I can murder someone and my mom be like, he a good boy. But my sister does one thing wrong and she's all over her ass. Right. But my mom's house is a safe space for me. If anything went wrong, I could be 62 years old in my life in the dumpster and I just be like, Mom, I'm gonna sleep on the couch, and I just feel safe. Mm-hmm. I feel safe with Frank Reich and Jim Caldwell.
Big time parent vibe, pappy vibes. I like it, man. Dude, I like I said, I've never felt more comfortable with the set of coaches that I didn't really know anything about. Every time that I hear more and more about them and learn more and more about them, it's impossible to not like them. And knowing that we're building an offensive-minded football team with a fast and aggressive 3-4 defense, and the proper coaching personnel that knows how to implement all those different things together, yeah, Panther fans should be excited right now.
The other great thing about this staff, particularly having Reich, Caldwell, Capers up there. Capers comes joined at the hip to Ejiro Evero, and he mentioned that. He talked about how good of a working relationship they have. So Evero respects Capers. He's a mentor, right? And what I love about this is that Frank Reich, Caldwell, and Capers they've forgotten more about football than Matt Rule will ever know. They've forgotten more about football than I will ever in my life learn or watch. So what I feel like is this: they understand football to where the young cats who have the excitement, who have the innovation, that they know if they're selling them a fraudulent company or if they're selling them something real. What is the Dropout movie where the lady creates the entire false medical company where they were doing the blood test? She just went to prison recently. They did a show on Hulu. It was the health startup. You guys don't remember this lady? It's called Dropout. It's a great show on Hulu. Hold on, Dropout. Let me go.
Oh, I don't have Hulu, man. They
you've heard this.
They got too many commercials, man.
It's the story of Elizabeth Holmes.
Price Picks is a good. I'm just
No, Elizabeth Holmes is the story, and the company was called Theranos. It's the unbelievable tale of ambition and fame gone terribly wrong. She created a healthcare startup company that was like a tech company, and she sold this fake technology, and she just was a snake oil salesman in a sense.
Yeah.
I feel like this is that, well, I don't feel like, I know this is that if these young and up and coming brilliant offensive minds like the Thomas kid or the Evera, they can't be selling these guys false goods. They would recognize if these guys were bullshit. They know so much about football. And so that gives me so much confidence in their ability to nourish those attributes, to truly mentor and pull the most out of the young, ambitious guy trying to make his career, instead of someone trying to be out over their skis. A guy that's like taking over a company prematurely and trying to convince everybody like he knows what he's doing. They know these guys are real, the real deal. And I think that's why their coordinators have had so much success throughout the league. So again, a real comfort, I feel. A real comfort. And I don't think that necessarily, because I saw G-Baby out there upset. I'm not saying that he's going to all of a sudden just take us to a Super Bowl. I just truly feel confident being a part of that crew as a fan. Let's go to the next call. Stop me if I played this one already, please.
Hey guys, Big Ralph Howell. I wanted to ask you guys about, now that Frank Reich is here, does all the small market crap go out the window as far as, oh, players aren't going to want to come here because we're a small market and whatever? Do they put all that aside and say, you know, I want to go play for Frank Reich. I want to go play for Jim Caldwell. I want to go play for Deuce Staley. I want to go play for Ejiro Evero. All the guys that are on our coaching staff that are here that guys in the league would want to come and play for no matter where we are. You know, honestly, if we had this coach, if they had this coaching staff, I honestly think guys would go to freaking Fargo, North Dakota to play for them. You know, that's how highly I think of this coaching staff so far. And nothing against any Panthers fans that might be in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm sure there's some. It wouldn't surprise me. But they're probably not able to call from on the podcast because they're probably busy shoveling snow out before they have to go to work. But aside from that, I really like that we have such a great coaching staff. And what do you guys think about putting all of our players in a package that want to work on the 3-4 defense, whoever they might be, and throwing in a few mid to late picks in the draft and giving it all to the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields? Let them keep their number one pick. I don't think if you give the Bears enough players and enough piecemeal and you let them keep their number one pick, I don't think they'll miss Justin Fields too much because they can get a quarterback and they're just as likely to start rebuilding because, let's face it, they need everything. And they're the Chicago Bears, but who knows what they're going to do. Anyway, guys, I want to know what you guys think of my call. Anyway.
He's gotten so good at that bellow, man. He holds it and he runs with it. Appreciate you, Joey. And yeah, you know, there's definitely Panther fans in North Dakota. There's probably Panther fans in every state of the union, don't you think? Dude, we meet some Panther fans online from just about everywhere.
Right.
So, yeah,
I think what he was saying right there, I don't think that the Reich tree and everybody's brought here necessarily brings a bunch of free high target free agents that want to come here and play now. It may bring some guys here that want to come play for him, but you're not looking at guys like Aaron Donald and you know Von Miller type players, top of their you know position in the league type players. I don't think are going to want to come play for Frank Reich. Now, if we start winning here and like start to put something together that looks like it's going to be successful and someone else be a part of that, then yeah, I think the small market fear starts to kind of go away a little bit. But I don't think first year it's going to be as big. Like I said, there'll be players I think want to come play with Frank Reich, but I don't think there's like a top of the league guy that would come here just to play with Frank Reich right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I do think there is one thing about that to think about and consider is that it's not the top free agents always.
True.
It's guys that are not in their twilight of their career, but have the luxury to where they've made some money. You know, they're not if $500,000 or 1 million isn't, if the money alone, if you're like, oh, well, you're going to pay me a little bit less, you don't want to, you want to, oh, well, I guess here, Jacksonville, they have to overpay their free agents, or at least people have said that because no one has confidence. I think that you wouldn't have to overpay guys to get them here. I mean, you're going to have to always pay them fair market, but it's like the only way they're going to go to this other crappy team is if the money makes them go. Because if you give me a legitimate deal, I feel comfortable enough in this location to go there.
Right.
And I think Evero choosing Carolina over Minnesota, I don't think it was only the money. And I don't think it's the roster. I think it is the opportunity.
Could be.
That's fun. All right, let's go on to more news and just finish these coaching hires out. Sean Jefferson, wide receivers coach.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. This is the father of Justin Jefferson.
Oh wow!
I thought it was Van Jefferson.
No, you're right. I said the wrong one. Van Jefferson for the Rams.
St. Louis, from the Rams, yeah.
Yeah, but by the way, still a damn good receiver. Like,
yeah.
He got hurt this year, and they were missing him. Father of Van Jefferson. He is a very people speak very highly of this man. That he is one of the main reasons why pretty much every team he goes to, they put up really good receiving numbers. So really love the fact that he is now a part of the coaching staff. I want to say I've seen him on a Hard Knocks or one of those NFL documentary shows before. He seems to be a very personable type of dude. A lot of people are really happy to have him. I'm excited, man, especially if we're able to get more development out of guys like Terrace Marshall Jr. and Shi Smith. And no, I have not given up on Shi Smith, damn it. I don't care what Tony's ass says. Still better than Demir Bird. I don't want to hear it. Shut up. And
same guy. They're the same guy. Look, I think I know what I want to say about these guys is I'm rooting for their success. I believe there is a world that these guys can make plays in the NFL, but I'm not ready to bet on it. Just like I'm ready to bet on the Panthers winning back-to-back seasons under Frank Reich's tenure. I'm not ready to put my eggs in their basket. Not to say that I wouldn't be happy, like I don't think they can carry the basket. I just am not ready to bet on certain players with that much of certainty. So maybe Terrace Marshall Jr. turns out to be great. I'm not saying give up on him, but I'm not ready also to put my career on the line for Terrace Marshall Jr. I'm not, and it almost has been foolish in our past when our coaches have believed that they have put their career on their lines for guys like Byron Bell. They have put their career on the line for guys like Matt Khalil. They have put their career on the line for a secondary with all rookies. And I feel like, yeah, it can win. Those guys can be good, but the odds are long. It's like the 5 pick or the 4 pick on Prize Picks when you can just do the 2 pick with the free square.
I hear you, man. I just think that when you look at the talent that we have at the receiver position, we should be believing in these guys long term. Terrace Marshall Jr., Shi Smith, these guys have.
Why should you be believing them in long term? I think you should be hoping.
Why should you not? Because no.
Hoping in them. Hoping in them.
Yeah, of course you can hope, but we'll also see the development that happened in a very short amount of time once Steve Wilkes became the head coach last season. Sometimes
how many players have we said this with? We said this with Tony
to get the most out of them.
How much development does Shi Smith get?
Or Terrace Marshall Jr., bro. These guys didn't even eclipse. You still owe me $5 for Terrace Marshall Jr. not getting over 600 yards or whatever.
They have to have the opportunity to do it. They have to see the
Last
field.
12 games.
No, but did you,
all
no,
of
no,
these
no, no. Did
ifs,
you not
ifs
remember the
and buts.
entirety of training camp
If.
where they wouldn't put Terrace Marshall Jr. or Shi Smith or mainly Terrace Marshall? They wouldn't give him any snaps early in the season, and then later on, we finally see them after they, play him. What a concept! And then you see what this man is capable of. He was a second-round pick for a reason.
He better be capable of that.
Okay, but that's why it's important that you hire guys like Sean Jefferson that have a proven track record of
Not
getting the
arguing
most
against
out
it,
of
but
their
I'm not
receiving
ready to bet
candidates.
my roster
I'm with Tony
on those guys. I hope that they show out. But you might as well. That's like saying Cincinnati shouldn't have drafted Jamar Chase because they had wide receivers that they thought were like in the process of developing.
So what? You really
I'm
want to
saying
go out in
this
free
is that
agency
I'm
and
not
get
trying to
another one?
cut them. I'm not trying to cut them, but I'm not sure that my plan A is starting DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall Jr. What are you going to do? What's your plan B? What if one of those any of them get hurt?
DeAndre Hopkins.
What
you
if
don't
they're
want to hear
not
the plan
good?
B. No, there's a bunch of free agent receivers, and every time I
Okay,
mention them,
then you're not truly betting on them. You're hoping on them.
Saying. You're either going to have to go into the free agent market and pay semi-top dollar for a guy that's been around the NFL before, or you continue to bet on your young players on rookie contracts who have done nothing but continue to get better and better as we have seen them.
Dave
That's what
Gettleman
I'm
did
saying.
this. Dave Gettleman did this with Ben Wickery. Oh, you guys all hate that motherfucker.
No, but there's a difference in talent level between Ben Wickery and Terrace Marshall Jr. No. Ben Wickery was never a good draft pick. No one ever thought that he was highly touted. You're talking about players that had two completely
First of all, no one thought Shi Smith was highly touted, homie. A. B, you're conflating multiple people into one person. Listen to this, though. Go back, look, at the end of the 2015 season, go back and look at what the redrafts for the NFL are. They always do this at the end of the season. What if you redrafted the players after season 1 for the whole NFL, and the Panthers had like 5 first, like people were thinking Funchess was going to be good. Think about that. We said the same shit about Devin Funchess. We said the same shit about Ben Wickery. And I'm not saying that they're the same player, man. That's not what I'm trying to say. I am not willing to bet my fortune on unproven potential.
You're going to have no choice because it's either that or you're going to get someone like a DeAndre Hopkins or, I'm not looking at the free agent list right now. But also,
that would be cheaper than going and getting Derek Carr. That would be cheaper than getting Derek Carr.
But do you really want to spend free agency dollars at the wide receiver position when? I mean, listen,
you want to walk into next season with the roster truly being DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall Jr., and Shi Smith with Chenault in a supplementary role. That you're comfortable with that room.
I'm comfortable with it, but I added DeAndre Hopkins in a heartbeat.
No,
and
you can't tell me. You just told fucking you're wanting to add something. I am not ready to say this. That's like going on a date with someone in 2 times and get married.
It's an unproven receiving core, and that's the point that you're making. Right, but
that's exactly my fucking point.
I'm also not wrong for seeing a bunch of untapped potential that you're not seeing. That these guys, just because you haven't seen it yet, doesn't mean they don't have the potential to be really good long-term players for the Carolina Panthers.
I thought the same thing. You remember, I thought the same shit about Kevin White. Remember Kevin White, that wide receiver that was going to be
obscure names.
That's not obscure. He was a top 10 pick.
Yeah, didn't he deal with injury histories like every year that he played?
No, he never even got to play. He never even played
for the Bears.
Like he played 1 game or something and was always hurt. Is that your Clemson guy is another guy, Sammy Watkins, the guy that was supposed to be the next Julio. Look, I've seen so many players. Look, I'm not arguing that they don't have the physical capability. I'm not arguing that there is not a world where they will not be successful. I'm just saying this is that it's a risky bet. How many people do you fall in love with every year that turn
it's
out
not
to be
that
fucking
risky.
nobodies?
Dude,
No,
did
that
you not
honestly
see
turn
what-
out to be nobodies.
Did you not see what Terrace Marshall Jr. was able to do for this
Terrace Marshall
offense
Jr.
down the
did
stretch?
less in his rookie
Oh,
year
dude,
than Devin Funchess did.
he made some of the craziest catches this year. Specifically, that one that he caught the ball between his legs. How about this?
This is
He
when
has-
you.
he
This
has-
is a
he has
verification. What is it
high-end-
called?
Dude, he has high-end
tape.
physical upside that Devin Funchess never had.
This is This is
Never
something.
had.
What is it called for
Far
historians? Whereas
superior,
we
bro.
want, it's like a verification
We're looking for
data.
empirical evidence. I
Like
guess.
where you are searching for evidence that supports your claim rather than only looking at all data.
Right.
So I just think this is that you like Terrace Marshall Jr. coming in. I think you believed he could be successful. He would be successful. And anytime there's any semblance that he will or could be, that you believe you're using that as verification data. And I think the same thing with Shi Smith. And I'm not trying to root against these guys again, but I would feel more comfortable. And look, Devin Funchess showed more potential in his rookie year than Terrace Marshall Jr. showed in his first 2 years. But guess what? Devin Funchess sucked. He fucking sucked.
He loves salad. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember
He
that?
did love salad.
That's it.
So Terrace Marshall Jr. is already better.
I love salad.
Hey, let's talk about this. D'Angelo Hall coming into the Carolina Panthers as a coach. And by the way, coming from the NFL Network, this man was literally working for NFL Network the day before we hired him. He was on there talking about things. So what do we think about D'Angelo Hall joining the coaching staff?
I hated this fucking dude when he played for the Falcons. I hated him. He was a good player.
Did y'all
he was a good
remember
player.
that clip?
Assistant defensive back coach. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that, I guess.
Do we remember what, Cody?
He's an assistant defensive backs coach. There was a season of Hard Knocks when the Houston Texans had to go and play the Washington Redskins at the time, and DeAndre Hopkins and D'Angelo Hall got into a fight, or damn near they were chipping at each other, barking at each other, and he was like getting all up in DeAndre Hopkins' face, saying, "Nah, man, I can cover you easy," just talking shit. And the next play, DeAndre Hopkins
Muslim or some shit.
breaks his ankles, dude. Goes right over the top of him, gets the ball, and D'Angelo Hall hurt his ankle on that play. Dude, it was pretty embarrassing.
Hall was in the twilight of his career at that point. He was good for the Atlanta Falcons. And I try to, there's one player that helped me get past some of my historical angst against players because of what they did in the past against me. And that was Roman Harper. I fucking hated Roman Harper as a New Orleans Saint.
Oh, okay.
When he was a New Orleans Saint, he was public enemy number one to me, much to the effect like Cam Jordan is to a lot of people now. That was Roman Harper, and you remember him and Steve Smith, where he took what I believe was a dirty hit at Steve Smith when Steve Smith was going into the end and caught a touchdown. Everybody, they just smoked that secondary. And in frustration, Roman Harper went and tried to teach him a lesson. That's kind of how football used to be. It was like an old school, hey, you come across the middle, you're going to get taught a lesson type deal. But it felt, I just hated Roman Harper for that moment. But then he came to Carolina and was so authentically committed to the success of the team. You know, I mean, he owned up. He never backed and shied away from his past as a Saint. But I never felt like he was a turncoat inside. And I came to respect him. And so that's going to help me not hold a grudge against somebody like D'Angelo Hall. That experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that he's a part of the coaching staff. He's not far removed from his playing days, so I mean, I really like the trend in the NFL of coaches being the guys that are getting these
Previous
new
players.
head coaching jobs or the coaching jobs. I love it. Anthony,
Deuce Staley's a great example of a guy
Yeah, for
who's
sure.
moved up. And Deuce Staley, what I like about this is these guys also were good as players.
Right.
You know, they
Yep.
weren't just players. Is Deuce Staley was a hoss. He was
And,
a good player. D'Angelo Hall was a good player at one point, even though you saw
Yeah.
him get taken advantage of late in his career. He was not a schmuck.
There's a YouTube channel named Femlo Raps. He does these documentaries on players throughout the NFL, and he did one on D'Angelo Hall that was really good. I recommend everyone go check that out. Anthony Picarello with another $2 talking to Tony says, "Stop sleeping on TMJ. With real play calling, we fine." And I agree, man. I mean, sometimes you have to
I'm
work
not
with what
sleeping
you
on
have.
him.
And the point that I will make, Tony, going into that 2015 season, especially after Kelvin Benjamin went down in training camp, nobody thought that the Panthers had any kind of talent to be able to make the kind of push that we did. But you know what?
Funches and Terrace Marshall Jr. are the same exact player.
No, they're not.
And
No,
no.
Funches is better
Hold
than
on.
Terrence
Listen to me.
Marshall Jr.
I don't mean the play on the field and this, but both second round picks, both trade ups. I think we moved up for Terrace Marshall. Did we move up for Terrace Marshall Jr.?
We did.
All right. We did the same for Devin Funches. The same. And that's what I mean is like second round. Like, so you know what? We'll see where their careers turn out. And
you're
I
making
hope
my
this.
point. Sometimes you have to bet on the players you have, even though they're not necessarily proven commodities.
Right.
Is
But what
Terrence
Tony's
Marshall Jr. proven? No, but it doesn't mean that he can't be the type of guy that you want him to be.
but what Tony's saying is we did do that, and you saw what happened with Devin Funches. What was his point?
And I'm also saying I'm not betting against Terrace Marshall Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying
don't-
this. If
he
you
has to
came
show
to
us
me and
first.
asked for my investment in businesses, this one's a little bit riskier than a proven business to me. That's it. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. But I've been in love with these ideas. I think this is that you come back and you'll look at this, is that I hope that his career, how about this? If his career is not better than Devin Funches, then I win and you lose. Like he has to be better than Devin Funches for your argument to hold any water.
All right, dude,
And
he's
I'm-
already looking better than Devin Funches ever did.
Yeah, you just want to see that is because after 2015, you would have said Devin Funches is about to blow up. The other is this is, you know what? As I say this, is Brandon LaFell better than all of them?
Oh God, dude, you just said
Brandon
old
LaFell, go
curmudgeon.
back. He took so much.
Look, Brandon LaFell is
Brandon
good. I'm not
LaFell
trying to
better
shit
than
on
both of
Brandon
these
LaFell.
motherfuckers.
Nah, listen, I'm gonna bet on the young guns who are more physically capable at the receiver position than ever before,
I
man.
think Brandon LaFell
So,
was a second round pick too. He might have been a third, actually.
wonderful. No, I like Brandon LaFell. I've always liked Brandon LaFell.
Dude, Panther fans fucking hated him when he was here. They hate, and you know what? There was a rightfully so. He wasn't
Yeah.
great, but he was a little bit better than people gave him credit
He's an
for.
LSU. He was
for
a
sure.
USC wide receiver, right? Like,
Was it?
didn't he?
No, was he?
LaFell didn't he come? No, LaFell came from LSU, right?
Yeah, he's
LSU,
he is
not
Terrace
USC.
Marshall Jr. That's the
Yeah, wow,
comp.
that is crazy.
Is that
yeah.
the comp? Go back. I'm gonna look it up. Tell us about this where I look at their stats coming into out of college. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this came from Bears Twitter. But this is what it would cost for 3 different teams to move up to the number 1 overall pick based on a trade value chart. For the Texans to move up 1 spot, it would be the second pick this year at 2024 and 2025 first. The Colts would be their 4th pick, the 35th pick in the draft. The 24 first pick in 24 and 25. Now get this, for the Panthers to move up to number 1 to secure their quarterback, they're saying it would cost our 9th pick, our 39th pick, a 2024 first round pick, a 2024 second round pick, and a 2025 first round pick. Hell no, bro. What are we talking about? We are not going to trade the farm and trade the next 3 years of first round draft picks for one of these guys? Hell no. I would much rather, if you have to have a quarterback, hang back and pick up the guy at 9 that you want rather than mortgaging
Amen.
your future.
Amen.
for
Yeah, I
a
told you it was going to
quarterback
take
you
3.
don't even know is going to work out or not.
Listen, here's the thing that I think is mind-boggling to me. The amount of people and content creators included that are okay with trading 3 firsts, trading away pretty much every pick that we have to go get one of these quarterbacks. Okay. Number one, historically, that has never worked. You might be able to point out 1 or 2 times that a team has been better off in the long run. But I am telling you, like, a lot of people will say, well, what happens if we would have traded up for Trevor Lawrence? Look how the Jaguars are doing better. The Jaguars didn't have to trade 3 first-round picks to make it happen.
Right.
Their team is markedly better with their draft picks and with Trevor Lawrence not having traded all of those assets away to go get him. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, when has it been a benefit? Like, when have you seen? I've seen teams succeed when they've traded up from like 15 to 10, or maybe from the second round up to the late first round. I've seen those work because you're not trading the freaking farm for these guys. It makes no sense whatsoever. All of these people are absolute just insanity. The Mahomes trade was not trading up into the top 5. It did not give away every piece of asset you have for the future. That was not what that was.
Yeah. And to add to your point, CK, is even if you were able to, even if you were willing to do that trade and say it was worth it, we're not a team that has like a bunch of first round picks stockpiled up from different, these are our first round picks. You could argue if you pulled in, like, if you're Seattle and you got 3 first round picks for whatever, Russell Wilson, you have extra first round picks. You can make an argument that that's exactly why you positioned yourself in that place to use those and parlay them up. But we don't have that. We don't have like incredible ammunition. The only ammunition that we have or capital that we could throw away would be what we received in the Christian McCaffrey trade. And that's not what this is. And right. I told you guys 3 first rounds. The people that told you we're going to get away with next year's first, this year's first, and a second, 2 seconds. No way. There's too many quarterback hungry teams ahead of you. There's too many teams with more capital and more money to spend than us. Mm-hmm. The Panthers need to sit pat at 9 or even consider trading back.
The Bears are actually in a very crazy situation right here, because I've seen this in a couple situations, but I'm sitting here looking at it. They could trade back 3 or 4 times.
They should do it twice. They should do it twice.
They could, but they could do it 3 or 4 times, still pick in the top 7 and have 5, 6 picks in the first round for the next 2 or 3 years.
What if they traded back like twice or 3 times and then moved back up for less money than they spent? You know what I'm saying?
The Bears are in a great position, yeah.
I want to put this up real quick before we go. Is Cody still there? I'm going to just put this up here.
Yeah, what's up?
Do a quick. Now, Terrace Marshall Jr. is significantly faster than Brandon LaFell.
Significantly.
4.3. Yeah, I mean 4.5 versus 4.3 speed.
Yeah, that's significant.
Man, that's a big deal. It is a big deal. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's got a career of 1 touchdown, 628 yards. He had a 2022 season this past year, 28 catches for 40 yards. You can look at his stats here. Just a quick comparison, though. Just want to show you what LaFell. And this is why I'm not saying LaFell's a better, it's not an apples to apple. I'm just saying is this. This is, you got a guy who did more in less time. This is the standard right here for me judging if he's got a successful career. First of all, LaFell played from 2010 to 2018. He only started 2 games his first season. He went 38 catches for 468 yards. He started 6 games his second season. Now he played in 11. He had 36 catches for 600 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's markedly more like notably more accomplished in his first 2 years. And people told us LaFell sucked, right? He went, I mean, he turned out to be, we thought he was going to be badass, and he just turned out to be okay. So this to me is the measurement that Terrace Marshall Jr. has to exceed for him to be what you say he is to me. I think he could. I mean, there's a possibility, but right now I'm betting against it. I'm going to bet right now. I bet that Brandon LaFell has a more accomplished career than Terrace Marshall Jr. And I don't want that to happen.
No, but then Tony, you can't say that
those odds are better.
You cannot say that you believe in him as a future prospect if you think that Brandon LaFell is going to be a better player. Like, you already know that he's not capable of doing the things that Brandon LaFell was. Why?
No, I go and place a bet in Las Vegas.
Who had a better coaching staff, Terrace Marshall Jr. now, or whatever Brandon LaFell had?
Who had a better
Have we
quarterback?
not just sang the praises?
Oh, you
of
mean
this
Brandon
coaching
LaFell,
staff?
who got 468 yards with Jimmy Clausen as the quarterback?
Yeah, wait till you see what he does this year.
He's got more yards than what's his name's had, and he had a worse quarterback than all of them.
Right.
So no, I don't want to hear that. What I'm telling you
don't
is
know
this:
that
is
Brandon
I can
LaFell
go
is
and
gonna
put a
have a
bet
better
on the
career.
table in Las Vegas, and I can believe it can win, but the odds are in the house's favor.
Yep. We don't.
I'm saying is that if he is better than Brandon LaFell, I consider that a bet that you won.
Right. And you're right, Cody. We don't know that he's going to have a better career. I think what he's saying is to this point, he hasn't yet. Like, to this point,
just like what odds are.
If you continue,
Think-
if
just
you
think
continue
of
to go out
odds.
just as
Right,
you
no
are,
doubt.
he wouldn't have the career.
If we
so.
bet,
No
all right.
doubt.
So is
There's
this? Is if
also
I
no
bet,
point-
if you bet
There's also
100,
there's no reason to believe that he's not capable of doing that and then some, based on what we have seen him do
I
in
feel
a
like you're not
very
listening
short
to me.
sample
But see,
size.
that's the thing, Cody.
I'm
is
not.
what you're
I
saying doesn't-
believe he is capable. I'm just not betting on it.
Right. And the thing is,
Why
what
would
you're
you bet
saying,
on it?
I kind of get what you're saying, Cody, but that's really not true. You're kind of stepping on your own argument. Like, we're saying that what he's showed so far shows he's not as good as. Therefore, from what we've seen so far, would not represent that he's going to get better. You see what I'm saying? Like, he showed us nothing to show us that he's
No,
going to
look,
get
I
better.
feel like we
All
got
he had
to
to
learn
do was
about.
disagree with that last statement. The last half of the season, TMJ turned it on. To be fair, like he was absent for the first half of the season because our passing game was absolute dog crap, right? However,
He had 28 catches.
Right. In the last half of the season, if you look at the numbers, it's probably going to be heavily tilted in the last half of the season for TMJ.
But
Okay.
So,
All right. So
he is
here,
getting
this is
better.
what I'm. This is, I guess, this. I feel like Cody's not understanding what betting and gambling odds are. Is that if you put $100 that LaFell will have, that not LaFell, that TMJ would have a better career than Brandon LaFell, you would get positive odds back. And what I mean by that is, you put $100 in, you're going to win plus 100 money. You know, you're going to not only win your bet, but you're going to win a little bit more. If I put $100 that Brandon LaFell is going to have a better career, my 100 is going to yield 80. Unlike your 100 that's going to yield 110. Is that this
None
is,
of it
you
means
are,
shit to me.
you
I'm
are betting
on
13.
what I
You're
see
betting 0 on the roulette wheel.
dude,
Yes.
I don't, dude, let me say, save your breath,
It's
dude.
just silly.
Whatever you're saying, I don't give a fuck, bro. Terrace Marshall Jr. has such a
Don't go to
higher
Las Vegas.
physical upside that, yeah, I'm willing to
Don't
bet
go to Las
on him
Vegas.
having a better career than Brandon LaFell did. He is physically capable
Greg, mark
of
it down.
doing more.
Mark this down. Our
And
bet.
what?
How much are you willing to bet? Put your money where your mouth is. You still didn't pay me on your first bet.
When does this bet end? When would we
fucking
know the
Terrace
winner?
Marshall Jr. retires from the NFL.
Fine. What, 100? Let's do 100.
Yeah, let's do 100.
Sounds
And he
good.
has
Are
to
we gonna
have a
count inflation
career.
in 10 years?
Do you want to do yards? Do you want
I
to
said
do yards,
inflation.
catches, or touchdowns? I think we should do yards.
Yeah, let's see. Well,
Would you rather have a wide receiver that has 15,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, or that has
Julio
1,000
Jones.
yards and 12 touchdowns?
Yeah, right.
Julio Jones. Yes, I'd
Right,
rather
but I'm
have
saying,
Julio
would you rather have the
Jones than
touchdowns or the
fucking
yards?
Brandon LaFell.
Why don't we see
Brandon
who has
LaFell
the
has
best
more
2 out of
touchdowns
3?
than Julio Jones.
Why
bro.
don't we see who has the best 2 out of 3 in each of those stats at the end of it?
I like that.
Okay, I'll do that. I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Deal.
Now we have to
Brandon
live
Blueberry.
out. Look, Brandon LaFell might play again. Still, he played. He had a good, respectable career. He went to
Patriots and got a Super Bowl.
And he did Cincy for 2 years and finished in Oakland. Lowest year, he never had his rookie year and his final year. He had 468 yards his rookie year. That was the lowest in yards. And the lowest in yards was 2018 with Oakland, 135. He had 7 touchdowns with the New England Patriots in 2014.
Yeah.
6 with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm winning this bet. I'm winning. I can't wait to accelerate into the future and win this 100. You might as well just go ahead and send it to me.
Have you ever beaten me? No, have you ever beaten me in anything? Ever?
Yes.
One time?
What? The
No,
Terrace
never.
Marshall Jr. bet?
No.
The one where I said Terrace Marshall Jr. would not have 600 yards? You mean that
What about
bet?
the Shi Smith would have more yards than what did he say? What was it that Shi Smith would have more yards than
every bet?
Oh, well, that was some bullshit. That was because of Matt Rule. That's like a scratch those out. Doesn't count.
That's like a motherfucker putting a bet on a number and on the roulette wheel. That's some bullshit. It's because that wheel didn't spin the way I would have spun
No,
it.
that don't mean shit to me. That was Matt Rule.
when did you beat me? Qualifies when you bet him.
But not that time. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
You can't use that time or any of the other times that I beat you.
I beat you on every Terrace. Have you ever beaten me on a Terrace Marshall Jr. bet? Never.
You've only had one.
Yeah, and you didn't win it.
Technically, you hadn't beaten him. So, I mean, he's not wrong.
Dude, I am going to be right on Terrace Marshall Jr.
I hope
and
so.
you're going to have to kiss my shoes.
You know what? I'm fucking hoping so, because we have been. Do you know how long the Panthers have been trying to find that second round wide receiver who turns into a fucking star? Brandon LaFell was that guy for us. Like we thought, oh shit, he comes out and has his second year as in a sophomore season, first year with Cam Newton. He has 36 catches, 613 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a 91-yard touchdown. Right? You're like, oh man, we just needed LaFell to get a quarterback. That's what we were saying in 2011. And then he just turned into a meh player. But his meh was way better than Devin Funchess. That was the next guy that we wanted to be the bodied receiver. The Panthers have not had since Masim Muhammad a big-bodied receiver that was fucking great. They haven't. And we've been
one now,
searching
baby.
for. I
His
hope
name is
so.
Terrace Marshall Jr.
We said the same thing, and somebody put it in the chat. Somebody put the chat of the real guy we were all hoping for, David Geddes, the man with no fucking hamstrings.
Who the fuck is that?
See, this is the thing. He's such a baby, guys.
fuck
It's his
is that?
birthday today. Thank God you're finally becoming an
Somebody,
adult.
somebody other than Tony, tell me who David Geddes is.
Wide receiver.
Okay, what else? Is that the only thing you know about him? Hey, caught you. Nobody knows who David Geddes is, dude.
Dude, somebody in the chat was talking about it, and I'll tell you this. Look, here, let's just pull him up real quick. Here's a little history lesson to you. David Geddes was a 6th-round pick. So, you know what? He was what Shi Smith is to you, but to us. He was our Shi for the old hats, except for David Geddes was 6'3", 217 pounds. And in his rookie season, he came out and he had 37 catches for 508 yards, 3 touchdowns. This motherfucker came out as a rookie and we were like, oh shit, we got him. We got him. And then this motherfucker lost his hamstrings. His hamstrings, both of them snapped, exploded, and he never played again. Never played football again. This dude came out and made what you imagine Terrace Marshall Jr. being as a 2nd-round pick. David Geddes was a 6th-round pick who actually did that shit. 2010 with Jimmy fucking Clausen had 508 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had more touchdowns than Jimmy Clausen. How does that even happen?
Oh, I think I kind of remember this dude now.
You don't remember? No, it's like he's like one of these crushes. He's one of the crushes that taught me the lesson you haven't learned yet.
It's different
Terrace
players,
Marshall
man.
Jr. might be that guy. Shy
You're
Smith
blaming
definitely
different
is that guy.
people. You're blaming Terrace Marshall Jr. for what other men couldn't do, and I think that's unfair, man. Hey, how about this?
No, let's go
What
to the
I
next
said
call,
before,
because-
what I said before last season still applies. It's prove it season for everyone. Everybody's still got to come in and prove that they are worth their pay grade, worth that 2nd-round pick, worth all the contracts that these people have just been signed to, all that shit.
Oh shit. Can I just tell you this? Just because this would be what's awesome about this is Cody would have loved David Geddes more than any of us. Let me tell you about this man. Right? He was 217 pounds. He ran a 4.43 40 coming out of college. He had a vertical leap of 34.5. His broad jump was 124 inches. Had an 18.47 40-yard mile per hour.
What was his vert?
Like his vertical was 34.5.
Okay.
He bench pressed 15 reps. Like this guy was his pro day, he ran a 4.39 out of Baylor. Hand size 10-inch hands, arm length 34 inches. So if you just think is that this guy was like one of those dudes that you thought could be what draft people found. And you know what? The poor guy didn't have hamstrings. I mean, literally, we watched him explode. They snapped like rubber bands, and he never came back and played in the NFL again. That's it. Look, I love teaching these young. You know what? I'm a history teacher, and we got to, at some point, Cody, you got to just be ready to be educated a little bit on the past. That doesn't mean your takes now are wrong.
Well, sometimes they are. Yeah.
David Geddes doesn't tell me a goddamn thing about Terrace Marshall Jr., dude. Not one thing. Yeah, players bust. Okay, I'm saying based on
he's not a bust.
Yeah, if it was
He
a
was
one
a 6th-round pick.
Hamstrings were a bust.
Yeah,
if he was
right.
if he was a one-year wonder, he was a bust. Just
Well,
like
what is he if he hasn't been a 1-year wonder yet?
What?
You say if he's a 1-year wonder, he's a bust, but what is he if he's been in 2 years and hasn't been a wonder yet?
We're still waiting on Terrace Marshall Jr. to wonder.
That's what I'm saying. We're like,
Terrace
Terrace Marshall
Marshall
hasn't done
Jr. is
nothing
still
yet.
playing. Geddes doesn't play NFL football.
I'm just saying Marshall hasn't done nothing yet.
Yeah, we know that.
So we just want to just show me something.
You don't know that clearly. Let's go to the next
All right,
call.
no, you're right. He sucks. He's trash.
We love David.
What's up, C3? Diesel Drew. Thanks for
What up,
putting on
Diesel
this show tonight. I know it's a little bit slow in the chat room. Thanks for everything you guys do. I agree with G. Cavassier here. I think we're going to win the NFC South. I think we're going to move up in the draft. I think we're going to get our quarterback. It just feels like we're making so many moves with coaching hires. It just feels like we're about to make a move with quarterback, go get our guy. And I'm totally okay with giving up a first round next year, because if the NFC South is not competitive with the rest of those guys, because they don't have the right guy at quarterback, and they're trying to figure out, their rebuild. And we got all this experience in coaching staff, and Josh McCown. I love this move with quarterback coach. I mean, he loves C.J. Stroud. He thinks he's the next Joe Burrow. You move up, get a guy like that. You go in. It's not going to take a lot to win the NFC South. I think at that point. But what does the first round draft pick really cost you next year? I mean, if you're competitive, you're giving up a mid-pack to late first-round draft pick the following year. I think it's totally worth it.
I think we've got. This is the best thing David Tepper's ever done. Like finally, like if his money was worth anything as an NFL owner, it's this. Go get these guys that have all this NFL experience. Love what's happening. Feels like we have corrected the ship. I'm excited. I can't wait. For an off season, this is exciting. And thanks for what you guys do. Like, subscribe. Love you guys. Thank you.
Love the call, man. Love the call. Love the support there for
Appreciate
the
you,
show.
Drew.
And yeah, there is something that just feels good. And if you think about this, is who's had a more successful coaching career in the NFC South than the coaches on the Carolina Panthers?
All right.
Right? You can't count Arians because maybe if you want to say he's in the front office with Tampa Bay, if you want to throw them in, then maybe we can have that argument. But Arians, did he win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
As a head coach? Well, yeah, because
Tampa
of
Bay.
Tampa. Okay, because of Tampa. Because I was about to say, because Caldwell's been there as a head coach, so that was close. But definitely, if you exclude Arians from the equation, the Carolina Panthers have the most accomplished coaching staff in the NFC South.
The funny thing is everybody else's coaching staff is the most questionable. Like Dennis Allen has the worst track record of any coach in the NFC South. Like, and it's bad. Like for whatever reason, they promoted him to the head coaching position, and he has been exactly what we anticipated him being, and that is garbage. You have, obviously they've already fired some coaches in Tampa Bay because of what happened this past season. And then Atlanta, who knows how much longer Arthur Smith has. He's, got 2 seasons in, and it's been, no improvements whatsoever. So it's going to be an interesting season next year, because if Reich comes in 1 year and he's able to show up these other, squads and win the NFC South, I think you're going to see a fire sale of the NFC South head coaches outside of our team.
I think the caller touched on a good point there about the NFC South, and you might not need a first round pick next year because of how weak the NFC South is going to be. The only problem is I may have not heard it. He didn't say where he wanted to move to, like trade to. All he said was he didn't mind giving up a first round pick next year, which I wouldn't either. 1 first round pick next year, but I don't think there's anywhere we can move forward from 9 with 1 first round pick next year.
Yeah,
to get to where we got to go.
Or something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think 1 first round pick is going to do it.
And if you want
to do,
I expect this draft, and again, I hate this speculation. Now, we'll talk in a momentarily about how this is mock draft season. I don't have a problem with mock drafts. They're fun to think about. You get to learn about prospects and some different things. But at the end of the day, when you see people doing 15.0 drafts, mock drafts, it's like now you're just moving guys around to move guys around.
Right. But
I do think from a guy who doesn't care about the draft, really, who Cody has to each and every week convince me to care about even a potential draft pick, this draft could be resemblant of the 2018 draft. Is that when Baker Mayfield went number 1? Is that 2018?
Yeah, 2018.
Darnold.
Yeah, 18 was Darnold, Allen, Jackson, Mayfield.
Yeah, so I could see this draft. I could see a world after the combine where Stroud and Anthony Richardson jump to the 1 and 2, and Bryce Young fall to 3-4 of the quarterback rankings. I could see this being a draft where teams fall in love with upside more than they have with Bryce Young's accomplishment and polish going into the league. I think AR-15 could be a guy that people fall and, he runs the 40. He goes out there and fucking does the vertical, and then he shows off the arm talent. I could see us all GMs falling in love with him and him jumping up. So what I do think is that this draft could shake out to where at 5 or 6, maybe the guy you thought that was completely out of reach is actually there. And my question, I want to ask you this, is we're going to play this next call because the next call is from Panther Pickle. And I want you to think about this because his call is about Anthony Levis.
Anthony Levis.
Not Anthony
Who's
Levis.
that?
Whatever. Will Levis. Will Levis. I was thinking of Anthony Richardson. What if Anthony Richardson shoots up the draft board?
I
Is
wouldn't
there,
doubt it. Dude,
right,
they're
is there
saying
a world where Bryce Young can actually slip to 9?
no.
I'd
No.
rather Stroud slip.
Never?
Nope. Yeah.
Nope.
Never.
No.
All right, let's hear what he's got to say about Levis, because I don't think Levis is going to eclipse Bryce Young, according to Panther Pickle.
Hey, this is Panther Pickle. I just wanted to pop in and say that Will Levis's pocket awareness, just is crappy. I know he was sacked 56 times of the last 2 years. I know he was he's thrown 23 interceptions in 2 years. I know he had a bad team up there, but you're just not going to convince me that it's all on the team and it's not on him. And Anthony Richardson is a developmental quarterback. He won't be able to start at all his rookie year, and I'm not certain that he will be able to start next year. I know people are putting high hopes on them guys, and they're building these quarterbacks in this class up far beyond their talent level. But it is what it is. If we draft a quarterback this year, I'm just not certain it's going to be the correct decision. But hey, I do like the fact that the Panthers have showed interest in Hendon Hooker, who I still believe is a high second-round pick. But we'll see how it goes. Have a great one and keep pounding.
I really like Hendon Hooker. I really do like Hendon Hooker. I don't know if we're going to draft him, but I mean, yeah. Listen, I don't know. I've said this before. I'm arguing about this currently as we speak on Twitter. I think Matt Corral, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson are all in the same wheelhouse in terms of talent level and perspective. Matt Corral had better stats than both of those two, also playing in the SEC. So basically, if you're going to draft Will Levis or Anthony Richardson at 9, I don't know how you can guarantee them the coaching job over Matt Corral. I mean, maybe just because they drafted him and this coaching staff has nothing to do with Matt Corral, they didn't draft him. Maybe they won't even give him a chance. I've always said that's a possibility too. But yeah, I mean, I showed you what it would cost to move up to number 1. Yeah, bro, that just ain't it, man. If you want a quarterback, you're going to have to get them at 9. Or you're going to have to trade up a ridiculous sum to go up and get your guy.
Cody,
if I'm going to trade up, I would do it next year.
Do you remember when you did your pitch for trading up for Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, yeah.
Would that package work?
For what? For number 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, the next
I don't
2
think
years of draft, but
no, that wasn't what the package was. I think it was all of this year's draft. I think it was just all of this year's draft and next year's first, maybe.
No, I gave them 10 due for Trevor because remember we were talking about getting the Jaguars off of the number 1
pick. Gotta
pick.
pull it. Whatever.
Yeah, it was. I was like, let's give up.
I think it was all of this year's draft. You said.
And by the way, to all the viewers, I made a presentation. Okay.
No. I'm actually asking. No, I'm not trying to say
out.
Oh. Yes, he's all worried that we're coming after. I'm using this as a jumping off
what
point.
I'm saying is, I made a presentation saying that the Panthers should draft or should, if they wanted to move up, give up 2 years of draft picks. 2 years of draft picks from top to bottom. 2 years for Trevor Lawrence.
What I was trying to get to is that I said that was ridiculous at that time, but I and you believe that Trevor Lawrence was a far more sure of a bet, back to this, a sure of a bet type mentality. I almost feel like that package might not get us number 1 right now.
Right.
So you were willing to give that package for a very sure bet. Where we like, I don't even know. I think the package might have to be almost bigger than that to get to a less sure bet.
Right. You wouldn't want it to be, but it would. I mean, you'd be losing more if that less sure bet didn't end up working out in the end.
I think it's inflated right now.
Yeah. Hey,
What would have been harder to get, that Jaguars first round pick that year or the Bears first round pick this year? And the only thing you
Jaguars.
could say is because they
Yeah.
didn't have a quarterback.
The Jaguars.
I think the Jags.
Yeah.
Well, I think just because Trevor Lawrence was so much more of a sure bet. But
Yeah.
hey, I wanted to ask Cody real quick. Cody, you said you think you'd rather do that next year. Who would you trade it for next year? You talking about Carolina's boy, May, or whatever his name is? May.
Right now, the two quarterbacks that look to be like number one overall picks are Caleb Williams and Drake May. Caleb Williams from US. He transferred from Oklahoma. Now he's at USC with Lincoln Riley, and then Drake May, who decommitted from Alabama, who decided to go and play for North Carolina. So Nick Saban thought he was going to be their answer at the quarterback position. Drake May goes to North Carolina, 6'5", 220 pounds, cannon for an arm, makes throws on the run. Yeah.
You remember those good old days of the 2021 draft where they said, "Oh, this isn't your year to get a quarterback," or 2022, wait the next year.
That's
This isn't the year with Pickett. It's the following year. And now we're in the following year, and you're telling me that the answer is in the following year.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, what's his name?
I do think this is that the Pickett, and who was the other guy? Who's the guy that we liked out of Liberty?
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. How about this? Who are these prospects? Is A.R. Richardson a more promising pick than Malik Willis?
Yes, for a few different reasons.
Well, he's like Cam Newton almost.
He's going to be
30 pounds
valued
less.
higher, but he is being compared to Cam Newton from a physical perspective, and the things that he's capable of doing. That's what people are saying. But he is. So he played in the SEC, much better competition than wherever Liberty played.
Yeah. Danger Duck, man,
6'4".
forgive us. We're from North Carolina, bro. Let's go. I agree. And I'm just saying this is you guys told me this was the year to wait, and now you're telling me next year is the year. That's
I
all
never
I'm
told
saying.
you that this was unquestionably the year to wait.
A lot of people did, though, on the internet. A lot of draft people said, "Oh, Pickett and whatever his name is, who I've already forgotten, Malik Willis. They're like reaches. Next year is the deep class. Now we're in next year, and it's next year is the year." I agree, though. I don't think anybody's proven. I think everybody's got flaws right now, and I don't think any of these are guys that are more polished than Trevor Lawrence was coming out, more polished than Joe Burrow was coming out, and arguably Cam either. None of these guys are more accomplished or better than Cam was coming out of college, and they thought Cam was a project.
You want to know why the price of these quarterbacks are so much higher right now? Is because when you look at the landscape of the NFL, there are so many great quarterbacks, you're not going to compete until you have one.
You're either in the land of a quarterback or you're in the land of not having a quarterback. I mean, it's just what it just comes down to.
Yep.
And we just want that feeling again. Remember what I told you, Cody, on your front porch? When Cam Newton was in the game, it didn't matter who the fuck. We could have Brandon LaFell. Hell, we could have Shi Smith and Terrace Marshall Jr. and Brandon LaFell, and I would have more I feel like, man, we got a chance. We got a fucking chance. I want to be in that land again. Let's go to, I feel like this is Joey the Blind Panther.
Hey, you know who the fuck it ain't. Boyka!
It is Joey.
This is Joey the Blind Panther. But I gotta talk to my brother G Baby for a second here. Let me tell you something about being a sports fan, bro. I know I'm usually not too I don't usually hold back with you, but let me tell you something. No matter what team you pull for, and this will apply to literally everyone, including me, no matter what team you pull for, you're going to get your heart broke, my man. It's just going to happen. You know? It sucks. It really does suck. But, you know, just look at it as that abusive ex-girlfriend who you always think about when you're drunk because she's got the golden coochie you just can't stay away from, no matter how much time she calls you gay, but you just keep running back to her. You know, that's how I feel about the Carolina Panthers sometimes. And G baby, I hate to break it to you, but it doesn't matter if you're rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs right now, dude. Especially if you have some negative tendencies. Yeah, heartbreak is just the name of the game, my dude. Anyway, guys. Wow. Oh, and also before I go, I saw in the comments that the Colts would try to move up to number one because Jim Irsay doesn't want Frank Reich to succeed. Well, here's my new goal. Whenever the Super Bowl goes to Indianapolis, we need to be in it. Because fuck Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard. We're going to win the Super Bowl in their fucking stadium, and then we're going to tell them to eat shit. Yo, Jim Irsay, here's the Lombardi trophy that I didn't get under your ownership because you're fucking stupid. Anyway, I'll hit you with another one. For your birthday, Cody. Happy birthday from one handicap to another.
Appreciate you, brother.
Wow.
Hey.
Good job.
My crippled brethren. Shout out to Joey.
You guys make our show better. You guys make our show better by calling in, subscribing, being part of the conversation. There's a cool conversation going down on Discord every day. You can join the Discord channel. You can just basically, the more we talk about the Carolina Panthers, the more this podcast will grow. So just get on the internet, like, subscribe, follow, and engage. Hell, tell Tony that he is fucking old and dumb, or tell Cody he's so young and green that David Geddes Cody would have had such a hard on for David Geddes. He is the type of player that you would have loved. That's all I'm saying. You would have loved him. I think we got one last call. Let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys keep talking about Anthony Richardson like he's new Cam. I watched Cam in college. I watched this guy in college, Anthony Richardson. I'm from Florida, South Florida, but not North Florida, but it is what it is. I watch him all the time. He is not Cam, bro. Cam won every game in college, every single game in college that he played. Anthony Richardson won probably like 6 or 7 games in his last year. Come on, man. He's not the same player. Don't get fooled by the stats. Don't get fooled by the talent level that you see, because it's not there, bro. Don't get fooled by I don't know. It looks like He-Man, plays like Jane, bro.
That's my call of the night right there. That is my call of the night. And not to shit on Richardson, but sometimes we've got to remember the love we had, the what we had that was so great. And the Cam Newton will always be the standard. I asked my friend this, guys, how do you, until someone replaces or excels at that position, they're always going to be the comparison. And what I mean, you guys keep telling me, don't talk about Julius Peppers anymore. Don't talk about Julius Peppers. But no one has been better at defensive end in a Carolina Panthers jersey than Julius Peppers. People tell me not to talk about Cam Newton anymore. The only way for us to put those people in the past officially is for someone to eclipse their meaning to us, or to at least parallel it or reach the similar height. Luke Kuechly will be the standard, and Sam Mills was the standard until, you know what I'm saying? It's like until they're replaced. And so we will not stop talking about Cam Newton until someone is actually better than him, because he's the last great at that position.
Right.
And he was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes is a more accomplished NFL player, and he wasn't like that in college. He didn't. Cam, though, you're right. It's like you got to be careful how you casually throw around, and not people like someone did it in this show or whatever. I think that's what he's talking about, is remembering, like, don't diminish the past greatness because you see some sort of trait in that person that's resemblant. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the thing. A lot of people are saying the comparison, right? It's okay to say that they're similar. Nobody is saying that he is Cam Newton. Nobody is saying he is the guy. Like, they're saying that he has the potential to be like Cam Newton in a lot of ways, but not a single person is saying he is Cam Newton, right? There's just traits that are similar. And I think that that's a fair thing to say about a guy like Anthony Richardson.
If we could give Cam the credit we really probably should extend to Cam right here, is that Cam has created a world where we can see success in players like Anthony Richardson, Lamar Jackson, even Josh Allen. Cam proved that game is like that can work. And the narrative that quarterbacks who were athletic, you think today people still talk about pocket presence, but you know what is without Cam Newton, Anthony Richardson would be a fifth round pick.
Right.
They would say, oh, he can't be that. Lamar Jack, it's like they created, it's an evolution of acceptance. And now you have coaches like Frank Reich saying, this is the game, bro. This is the game. People, it's just hard to remember that just a decade ago, Cam was the guy that ushered in this era of freak athletic quarterbacks. Are you guys ready to put Jalen Hurts in the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL? I think there's a real converse.
I put him in the top 10.
Yeah, I need to see one more year of solid play before I think he's like a top guy, but he's definitely top 10, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The
I've
Cam
been saying
Newton
it like this.
experience, people would continue to doubt him.
I've been saying it like this. Guys Cam Newton died so that quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and Justin Fields can live.
He's the
I agree. He's the martyr. He paved the way for the big, strong, dominant, physical freak at the quarterback position that can make all the throws and burn you with his legs. So Cam. I don't know if Cam will ever get the credit he deserves. I mean, that's kind of a conversation for another time, but
it's not that if he gets the credit, we just shouldn't forget the credit. And I think that this is sometimes you hit pivot points or momentum points that reset the game. And you could probably put Patrick Mahomes in this category right now. And what I mean is Patrick Mahomes, the kind of creation vibe he gets where he can flick it, where he can do this stupid behind, like he's like dishing it like Magic Johnson out there. I think that before people saw that as gimmicky, and Patrick Mahomes made the sidearm throw a legitimate part of the NFL.
A legitimate part of his game.
No, like everybody does it now. Herbert does, we see
Philip Rivers been doing it for years.
No, he just ridiculous.
Matt Stafford to a degree. No, but Tony's right though, in that he has popularized it in a way that now it's like a prerequisite for quarterbacks coming through the draft.
Right. If you can't do that,
right. Can you make the off-platform throws? Can you throw the ball from different arm angles to be able to get the ball around defenders? Yeah, I mean, Tony's right in that regard. He has popularized. How about this? Even before Patrick Mahomes, quarterback coaches were very strict on mechanics, and
That's what I'm saying.
Right, there is a certain position that your arm is supposed to be in when you're throwing the football to this level of the field. And Patrick Mahomes said, "Nah, man, I'm gonna play backyard football and do it my way." And now people are kind of looking for those traits in quarterbacks, and that's what Caleb Williams is looking like right now for USC. He can make all the throws from the crazy arm angles, and he can run like a running back.
Let me ask you this real quick. I know we shouldn't be falling into these
Rabbit
black holes, but who changed the game of football more, like the lasting impact on the game of football? Eli Manning, who had 2 Super Bowls, or Cam Newton? Eli Manning or Patrick Mahomes?
I think
they changed the type of game. It can't ever be the same now.
But what? Just out of curiosity, why are you using Eli Manning? What about
2
Eli
Super
Manning?
Bowls? 2 Super Bowls. He's a remarkably accomplished
Okay,
football
I get
from
that.
a great pedigree family. Like, he is a Hall of Famer.
But what did he change about the game? He won 2
That's
Super
what I'm
Bowls.
saying. Is
Like,
he's a Hall of Famer, but I think that Cam Newton and they've had a larger impact. They're like the Air Corral, like where you introduce a new offense.
Right.
Eli might be more accomplished.
Eli
but
wanted
Cam
the
Newton
old school way.
legitimized the athletic quarterback.
Right.
Cam Newton made it fun to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you think about quarterbacks before, you didn't have quarterbacks having fun. Now you have quarterbacks out there dancing. You have quarterbacks having a good time. You have quarterbacks, and I think that has to do with the there being a reality that's set in with these players. Like, I do have the ability to do what this guy's doing, and they go out and they work their butts off to make it happen. Cam Newton definitely was a catalyst for that type of stuff. And Mike Vick was the catalyst for Cam Newton's generation of quarterbacks, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of building on the pedigree of other players, and Cam Newton certainly is a part of that, and I think he deserves to be respected for that.
All right, let's move on. We got a few more things. Actually, we do have a lot still to talk about. We'll
zip through it, and it's not really much. Bradley Bozeman, we're wondering when he could potentially get a franchise tag, or they might sign him to an extension. Today was the opening day for that, so the Panthers can now make these designations, and I just personally hope that Bradley Bozeman is going to be signed again very soon. I believe he was one of the most important parts of our offense last year.
There is not a single shot in hell that they let Bozeman go. Agreed. Sorry, I'm just saying there's not a single chance that I believe that this team is going to let him walk.
I agree. I don't think there is a single chance they even use the franchise tag.
I agree.
I think they just prioritize them in free agency and say, look, we respect it. Like, let's get it done. And when I Googled teams like I forgot that it was the franchise tag day until I started thinking of what the show title was, because really we don't have anybody that should be tagged.
Yeah.
Like, not a single person on this team should be tagged. Like, we should just sign Bozeman and move on. And then we got the whole fucking lineup, the basis to kind of build from into free agency, but you don't have anybody whose deal is pressing right now.
Yeah.
So
it really is Bradley Bozeman. That's pretty much the guy. Then how about this? JJ Jansen back with the Carolina Panthers. Didn't you have the record number of snaps all time for a Carolina Panther player?
Yeah, I think
JJ is the man.
For
Super
games.
cool dude. He's just awesome, Hey, dare I say it? Best long snapper in the NFL. What's up, boy? Get at me. Let's fight.
Here's your yearly reminder that the Carolina Panthers drafted Thomas Fletcher in the 7th round only to cut him and then continue to resign J.J. Jansen for the next 3 years. Some little salt in the wounds for you with those types of players. Drafting that guy where you could have had you get him pointing around the league to a 7 like a player. Basically, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, last player. He didn't get cut. We cut that guy. But don't forget Harrison Butker. Kind of fits in that vein for us, except for we cut him and kept Gano, then let Gano go, and we're still continuing to find an answer or look for an answer at kicker. Wouldn't it be nice to have not drafted that long snapper and kicked Gano to the curb? And it would have kicked butt to have Harrison Butker. This week, though, coming up, Cody, the NFL Combine is
hold
next.
on. Before we talk about the Combine, I forgot to put this in the slideshow, and I figured it would be good to talk about Robbie Anderson.
Oh, God. This is
Or
awesome.
should I say, formerly known as Robbie Anderson. The man has changed his name to, and okay, this is kind of what confuses me. I believe his name is Chosen Anderson. Like his first name is now Chosen.
Yeah,
but
his name is Chosen Robbie Anderson. If you look,
Yeah,
so it says Chosen, and then his middle name initial is R. So you would expect that to be Robbie, unless he was Robbie Randolph Anderson or something like that.
Have you ever seen so much drama and news stories surrounding a player that's never done anything? Like, dude, it's so crazy.
What
man.
is the story? John, tell me your last 4 digits, by the way. John Jenkins, hit me up with your last 4 digits because I might have just missed it. What's bigger of a story here? Or what is the story here? Is this got anything to do with Cam Newton's kid? The only other person I've ever heard of named is Chosen is Cam Newton's kid. So, like, I just feel like this isn't dramatic. I just think Robbie, and I hate to say this about someone, I think he's just dumb.
I think it's a cry for attention. It's like when a player's fallen off their peak and they know that maybe they're not going to get any better, but they're still craving that meta world piece. Same kind of thing. Before he changed his name, he kind of fell off. He started to decline once he changed. I don't know, man. I think it's
Who was that? Ron Artest?
Ron Artest. Yeah, I think that's
I think I just saw him in a video dunk at 67 years old or something.
Wow.
Like that. No, it was Gilbert
attention.
Arenas. It was Gilbert Arenas.
It might be, yeah. I just feel like it's a cry for attention. I don't think anybody's chosen Robbie Anderson to do anything except sit the bench at Arizona, right?
All right, let's get to this call. I did miss it. I found it. Thank you. Not intentional.
Hey, Panther family. First of all, happy 11th season. I'm glad to be part of the second episode as a caller. This is John B. Jenkins.
What up, John?
Checking in. Anyway, Cody, specifically you, I wanted to see if you had watched any of the XFL this weekend. I am such a geek for minor league football. Like, to me, that is like the ultimate reality TV. Watching these guys come up from like the European League of Football, the USFL, to the Dallas Cowboys. That would be Cavante Turpin. It's just cool stories. I won't get into too much of the XFL other than I did see all 4 games, and the St. Louis Battlehawks had an awesome comeback win, and it was Austin Prohl who caught the game-winning touchdown.
Oh,
and apparently Ricky Prohl is his wide receivers coach, and it was just a really cool moment to see. In fact, they were interviewing Austin right after the game, and they were like, Austin, how does it feel, get that game-winning touchdown? He's like, I'm a pro. We're built for this. I'm a pro. It was just super cool. But anyway, look for those guys. I mean, we've got the XFL going on right now, and then the USFL is going to happen right after that. And, maybe these people don't get drafted into the NFL at the draft time, but there's going to be a lot of these guys that get picked up as undrafted free agents, right after the draft or right before training camp. And if you guys want to watch some good reality TV, check out the XFL, then check out the USFL, and then even the European League of Football has got some great stuff going on in the summer. So
Anyway, that's all. Just want to call in. Happy 11th season and keep pounding, y'all. Cheers.
Thanks for the call. I love the content. The call, so amazing. Austin Prohl, Ricky Prohl's son, went to East Carolina University and was very successful here at East Carolina, and left a little. Well, I would say he was successful, but he left, or he wasn't very successful, but he was successful. His dad would come to Greenville and come to some games, while he was the the wide receivers coach for the Carolina Panthers. So you're looking at Austin Prohl and you're rooting for him, or I am anyway. He went undrafted. He left ECU a year early, went undrafted, and Minnesota ultimately picked him up on an undrafted free agent deal. He came in there. It was Justin. Was it Jefferson? He was there already. It was the other older guy, Thielen, and he would come on the radio station in Greenville and was really like fighting to be your Shi Smith, Cody, right? And then he got injured, and now you hear that though, and he's now in the XFL. So that connection with Ricky Prohl, and he really could potentially be a player in the NFL, but just a role player, I think. The funny part too about the USFL, yesterday they had their draft, and they draft players that like the players haven't agreed to the draft. They pick players like a fantasy football team, and if those players don't go into the NFL draft, they get the rights to them. And if they decide to join the USFL, they have to sign with the team that drafted them. So today or yesterday they did this, and there's a guy, Keaton Mitchell, who was the running back for the ECU Pirates, and this guy had the fastest touchdown in college football this year or something. Like he went 22 miles an hour, like he broke this one, and he was like they clocked it using that GPS shit, and it was like, this dude is the fastest guy in the NFL in pads. In the college football in pads. So he got drafted by the New Orleans Breakers or whatever this team is, and people on the internet and around ECU are going crazy, like, "Oh, this fucker left ECU early, and he gets drafted in the USFL." He didn't actually do anything; he just woke up, and he was drafted. Like he didn't go into the USFL. It's like he just woke up, and he's preparing for the NFL draft, and he got drafted into a league that it's just going on in this parallel universe. And he's like, if he goes into it, he's got to sign with this team. And people are like, what an asshole for leaving school early. This poor guy is just like working out today.
Right.
Did Leighton Grant says he went to UNC, not ECU. Are you sure?
Who did? Austin Prohl?
I guess the running back dude.
No, Keaton Mitchell is from ECU, and Austin Prohl went to East Carolina University.
By the way, real quick, a big thank you to Panther Gal. She's incredible. She comes in with not just the $5, not just $7, but a whole nother. She sent me $12 for me to go get some Dunkin' Donuts or some
Happy
Starbucks.
birthday. Happy birthday, Cody.
But hey, thank you to Panther Gal 73. Thank you to everybody wishing me happy birthday. I sincerely appreciate it.
As we try to cover the combine, Cody, let's pull up the schedule real quick. I think this is, what do you want? What position groups do you want to watch in this combine?
Oh, you already know.
Watch all of them. Just tell me which ones you are excited about.
Well, no, you already know I am going to watch all of them. And hey, maybe one of these days, for one of these, we will do a live stream, a watch along. Tony and I already kind of spoken about it. Yeah, we might do that. But no, I'm really excited for all of these. I'm really excited, obviously, quarterbacks and wide receivers, to see what they're capable of doing. Honestly, a lot of the offensive positions. And, a lot of the when you heard Scott Fitterer say that we're in a position to take some explosive upside kind of players, I feel like the offensive side of the ball is what he's talking about. So, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive line, running back. Basically, the last couple of days of the combine is more what I'm excited to look for. And by the way, this is where theoretically all the quarterbacks should produce all the clips that you're going to be seeing online. How fast does Will Levis run in the 40? How fast does Anthony Richardson run? All these different quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting, man. Especially if you're a Panther fan and we have so many options as to what we could do in the draft. Yeah, it's going to be fun. This is going to be a fun combine.
You know what the coolest part about that run thing is, Cody, is when they take the person who's run it before and then make them very translucent and then make them run beside them, so you can see how this person ran compared to Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. That's the only cool thing about that to me. Like, I think it's cool technology, but
the simulcast
Yeah.
of the different runs that they do. By the way, it dawned on me. No, go ahead.
Apologies, real quick to Leighton Grant. Austin Pro was at Carolina. I'm thinking Blake Pro. No, all right. So I think they're three of the brothers. So I was wrong on that. Cody, Saturday, the quarterbacks. Saturday at 1, the quarterbacks are doing their exercises. Like, I think I'm ready to sit here and watch it with you, and you tell me. I mean, we got to watch quarterbacks. I think Thursday with defensive line. Now, you can't really learn but so much, I think, from the combine, from being a mean, nasty defensive line. But, like, the two positions that I'm interested in watching at the combine would be D-line and quarterback. Thursday and Saturday, maybe we'll do a watch-along where we can hang out and watch those quarterbacks at the very minimum. Let us know if you guys would like to hang out. We can't broadcast the stream, obviously, but we could all sit around in a room and talk about what we're seeing, have a good time, and hang out. Cody, what's next other than the schedule? I think we have. We'll skip the combine records. One of the things we'll talk about that next Tuesday is one of the cool things that's fun about looking at the combine is watching people put up crazy numbers and break records for the fastest 40 or something to that effect. And I think Greg brought it up earlier with Amari Barno, or CK did, that defensive end broke potentially a record for 40 times or whatever. So let's just finish up with this, the couple of NFL news notes, and then we'll get into the ice up picks related to the Carolina Panthers. Jim Bob Cooter has signed with the Indianapolis Colts are going to be hiring what some people ultimately wanted to be the Carolina Panthers coaching staff, which is the Steichen as the head coach. And now Jim Bob Cooter, who the Carolina Panthers interviewed here, will be with the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think about the Colts hiring? Do you feel more confident about the Indianapolis Colts coaching staff or the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff, who got the defensive coordinator? Who got the better deal?
The Lions, man. Who doesn't love Cooter, bro? Come on.
No, the Colts.
The Colts. Yeah.
Yeah, Colts. Whatever. Whoever he goes to, Cooter.
The Colts got the better deal.
Because coordinators from the Eagles, right? CK, both. Steichen comes
the
from.
defensive coordinator went to Arizona. The offensive coordinator went to Indianapolis. I think the Indianapolis Colts have the better deal right now. I am curious, though. I know we were. I mean, since we're talking about it, just for a second, have we heard much about Sean Payton's coaching staff in Denver?
No, not too much.
I've heard a lot about people leaving it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. Then they've wanted to retain people. I mean, we've literally stolen our defensive coordinator from them.
Yeah, and there was another coach that I don't know who it was, but does that kind of tell us something about, is Peyton kind of one of those guys where it is about him?
I think that, but I also think that their situation is still horrendous. Like, I don't look at their circumstance and see them fixing it overnight. Right? That's gonna be a real overhaul to try to fix what's going on in Denver.
Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders under Ron Rivera. Clearly, we've talked ad nauseum in the football world about Bieniemy's status. Should he be a head coach? Is this reflective of, systemic racism in the NFL and to that effect? A lot of people said that Eric Bieniemy shouldn't have gone to Washington at all. So that was in the news, and then Shady McCoy, what's his name? What's his first name? Whatever, McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy. He came out and said this, and kind of took the perspective that the people who were hesitant on Bieniemy weren't out of line entirely. And now people got upset because he said like he didn't think he was going to be good or great. But what we've come to learn is Bieniemy is kind of in a funky predicament because he's in the shadow of Andy Reid. Was. You're right. Yeah, was. And he was also the run game coordinator, a former running back, I believe, in the NFL. And he wasn't involved in the passing game on that Kansas City Chiefs team, from what we're hearing now. And they never even ran the ball in Kansas City. Yeah. I mean, would you ever bet on Prize Picks on a Kansas City running back?
No, I wish I would have in the Super Bowl. I would have won a whole lot more money.
Really?
That was the one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he is in a tough predicament. So a lot of people in the news have been talking about that. Robert Griffin III talking about that. And then the final thing that we do just mention in the news, Daniel Jeremiah set the world on fire today, Cody. He really pissed off the Carolina Panther fans with his mock draft. And I think we didn't put it up here. What happened today? Man, he he said this is because of Panther fans, arguably. 4:37 p.m. today. This story came out today. He said, when mock draft comments start to get to me, I do what every wise person should do. I watch he had to get away from Twitter. So I think Panther fans fucking came after Daniel Jeremiah today, Cody, because he said we should draft an offensive lineman at 9.
Yeah, they had us taking Willis Gronkowski, the offensive tackle out of, I believe it's K-State. I'd have to look. He's
Northwestern. I think it was Northwestern.
Yeah, because he went to the same one as
his grandfather
Slater,
was a
old buddy from the Chargers now.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think that it's impossible. If you're Daniel Jeremiah and you have the job of doing mock drafts for all these different teams, like there's no way that they can be keyed in on the actual needs of every single team and what they should be doing. So in a way, it was like kind of unfair to him a little, but at the same time, it's also, it's not a surprise that the Panthers need a quarterback. And if you're on Panthers Twitter, no one can stop talking about the Panthers drafting a quarterback. So yeah, of course they were going to get all pissed off about it, but whatever. I like Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah. Let's get into the cat call. I mean, not the cat calls, the ice up picks. Let's get these fools.
I guess I have to.
It's okay. This is where.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Welcome to the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast, where we pay homage to Steve Smith and we step outside the boundaries of life. Nothing is off the grid. Nothing is unfair game as we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. We've iced up 12-year-old kids in Oklahoma that we've never met, or I have. I've iced up myself. I've even iced up my wife on this podcast, and that is a big risk in life. Who are we telling to ice up, toughen up together? Mine is like a 3 combo, so I feel like it needs to be middle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll go first. I don't have a video or anything to show today. But I saw this on Twitter, and it really got me going, man. And especially on Twitter, I try not to speak about things of a political nature, largely because I fucking hate politics. And if you're Democrat or Republican, I hate you equally. Like, I don't care, man. Politics is so shit to me. But the New York Times put out an article. If you didn't know, there was a train derailment in Ohio, and it spilled a ton of toxic chemicals into the community of East Palestine. It's in northern Ohio. And it's been a big deal, and the mainstream media outlets, for a large part, have not been talking about it. And when they do, they say some shit like this. This is from the New York Times. After a train carrying toxic material derailed in Ohio this month, right wing commenters have been particularly critical of the response, using the crisis to sow distrust about government agencies and suggest that the damage could be irreparable. So this really kind of pissed me off because, so what I put was, so let me get this straight. To be critical of oil and chemical companies polluting our environment while showing outrage towards the government's painfully slow response is all of a sudden a right wing issue now? Dude, it really pissed me off. It super upset me because in today's culture, we have to frame everything as right and left, Democrat and Republican. It's not like we can just say, hey, oil spill, bad. Maybe we should take care of average, everyday Americans that are suffering because of incompetence on the part of government, regardless of if it's fucking Democrat or Republican. So, to the New York Times and this, bullshit government rag that does nothing but spit propaganda, ice up, son.
Ice up, ice up. And on the heels of that, this is my haymaker. This is like my real ice up. And then I have to give you my fun ones, right? Because it can't just be us jumping off a bridge. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm pretty sure she's a representative. Make sure if I said that. Yeah, Congresswoman. Didn't want to misspeak. She put this on Twitter. And this sent me into that spin that you were in, Cody, about like where just something grabs a hold of you a little bit more than that it should. And this one really pissed me off. Like it was on my mind yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she said, we need a national divorce. And she's a congressman, she said, or congresswoman. She said, we need to separate by red and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this. From the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrats' traitorous American last policies, we are done. So the first thing that sent me into a spiral on this is how casually she's throwing. I mean, like she's so dumb that she doesn't recognize that means a civil war.
Oh, that's why civil war was trending on Twitter this morning.
Yeah, no, she doesn't recognize that that's what that. And then the other thing she's so dumb to recognize is that just because there's red and blue states, that acts like we're just like a singular political response. In her own fucking state, she has the two senators are Democrat. She's not even in the state that she wants. She's in the wrong color. And then on top of this, so I mean, this is like you can't casually throw this. This is like someone who says, like, man, I'll fuck you up. I want to fight. And then when the person says they really want to fight, they're like, oh shit, I didn't want to fight. She's throwing around language as and this ain't just someone on Twitter. This is a fucking congresswoman. That is this is actually traitorous talk if there's anything. And on top of that, it's just unpatriotic at the very least, the very minimum. But for all those fucking woke ass liberalists, there was a time where people said this same ass shit. A bunch of Southern slave owners used to say this about some woke ass abolitionist Northerners all the time. So, like, shut the fuck up, lady. We are, you know what? I'm icing up the people of this fucking voting district. I'm icing up our republic for electing idiots like this. We need to elect better. We need to elect people of the caliber of Frank Reich, Jim Caldwell. That's the type of leadership and integrity we need in politics. That caliber, that competency that we just got for the Carolina Panthers. We have fucking C players in Congress, if even that. If they're average, you know what? How about this? Is Brandon LaFell better than Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Maybe.
That is my ice up pick for there. And I did want to just do these because fuck her. It sent me in the crazy one. Sent me in the crazy talk. Let me just do these just to lighten it up because I get out of this lady's stupid shit. Here we go. This is fun. So this dude, let me get this up. This guy goes in to rob a gas station, and the tweet says this: he looked away, and if you just look at this,
What do you do? Go to the back. Give me the money.
look at this. So he comes in, he thinks he's badass.
What happened? What do you do? Go to the back. Give me the money.
That dude just do a casual shot on him.
I can't stop it now.
I don't know what it is. He shoots him with something.
No, the guy that comes in to rob the store comes in, robs, shows a gun for a half second. Then he tries to get this guy. He starts paying attention to this customer just standing in the way. And in the moments that he looks away and he thinks that he's in control, the guy behind the counter pulls out a gun and shoots his ass.
That's what I was wondering. Was it a gun or a taser?
No, I think like if you go into a place and rob it, I guess you have to be ready to get shot if they fall back. I mean, if they fight back. And here is another example of someone going into Walmart. This one's fun to me. You guys seen this one?
No.
This is great. So look, this looks like an encounter between I think this person, just to kind of give you a little heads up, this looks like a Walmart employee, this person on the left.
Guys at Walmart.
Yeah, or at least
DirecTV
somebody.
guy.
It looks Walmart-ish, and then this is clearly a customer.
What?
He deserved it. It looks like.
Hard to see.
Yeah, let me see again.
Don't ever turn your back to somebody like that, dude.
Oh, he had that slow reaction.
Yeah.
So she
Dude, he
hit him,
got
and I
hit.
think he slipped on something.
No.
I think
Dude,
He got
he
He
got
was
hit
out before he hit
and
the
then went.
ground.
I think he slips on something and hits his head.
No, dude, he got knocked the
Look,
fuck
he's
out.
knocked out right here.
Yeah,
He's knocked out right there.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
yeah, he's knocked out standing
Yeah, hold
up.
on.
Yeah.
Is it the punch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the punch.
She cold clocks him. He's not prepared for it.
Yeah, hits him in the back
He
of the head.
takes it cold. Yeah.
I can't see the actual punch. Oh, there it is. It's off. It's
Yeah,
off.
dude, he got
But
his shit rocked.
This motherfucker tried to buck up against this girl at the Walmart, bust her with the damn cart, and he not the fuck.
Got what he deserves.
The dude's an absolute idiot because he freaking turned around. Like, what? How are you that dumb that you're about to turn around after getting into like that is the stupidest move you could possibly make as somebody getting in an like, you know what? I've shown you everything I can. I'm gonna turn my back to you and just pray to God that you're not gonna hit me in the back of the head.
But she weighed like 120 pounds and she knocked him the fuck out.
I wouldn't be
Somebody put
surprised if
down
she hit him with
goes
something in her
Frazier.
hand.
Down
She probably had a fistful of nickels, dude.
That's my ice up pick. So you guys finish it out.
You go ahead,
It
Kurt.
made my day better.
All right. I didn't really have a ton of ice up picks, but I figured out really simple. It's just look up something Joe Biden. Just type in Joe Biden in Google, and you can find something funny to talk about. So, just y'all help me figure out what he's trying to say here. Tell me if you get lost in this sentence too, because I can't understand what he's saying. Did I do it with sound? Let's see. Can y'all hear it?
Yep.
Yes.
Them all. You have demonstrated. You've shown your strong stand against aggression in the face of the imperial appetites of autocrats who wrongfully believe they might be able to make might right, and they're not able to do it. Thus far,
What did he say?
It's not that
You
bad.
know, and you have stood alone.
But can I just say that of all the idiots in all the idiot villages, in all the idiot worlds, you stand alone.
Agreed. I just can't understand what this guy says half the time. You know, Tony, you're talking about the union, the State of the Union speech. I think he just bombed on that. I think he just bombed on the State of the Union. You can tell that he front loaded stuff that people wanted, because people were not going to watch the whole thing. So he front loaded stuff he wanted people to hear at the beginning that didn't make any sense. The people behind him were ready to stand up and clap, like they're watching the teleprompter behind and like in front of him, like just waiting for him to get finished that sentence so we can stand up and clap. It was just so fake. And the guy's a terrible public speaker. I just don't understand why people can't see this in Biden.
I would be absolutely flabbergasted if the Democratic Party let him be the nominee for the next election.
That's the saddest part about it, I think.
Look at this.
Dude, how about,
he did a thing with Clinton the other day, and Clinton did an interview with him, and they were at some kind of thing together, right? Clinton, who was a president 30 years ago, is now 4 years younger than Joe Biden. Just saying.
Clinton was also the youngest president since John F. Kennedy at
But
the
he was president
time.
30 years ago, and he's younger than the current president.
And Biden is the oldest president, I think, in history.
Yeah.
Is that right?
He's got to be.
So
He might be the oldest we've ever had.
It's and he's going to start World War III, by the way.
Yep. So I'm slicing up Joe Biden.
But so I'll go with mine. Mine is also in the vein of maybe on the vein of more conspiracy theory than anything else. And it's going to kind of touch base on what Cody had talked about, which was this Ohio train wreck that had taken place with that chemical spill and everything. There's a lot of inconsistencies that had occurred with that. You know, one, they've admitted that they were not upfront about the amount of toxins that were actually, or the different types of chemicals that were involved. They've also there's so vinyl chloride is the biggest one, I think, right? And this is something I watched a video on. So again, this is not my own personal research. It's something else that somebody else had done. But the CDC, I believe, has a almost an info sheet on vinyl chloride, right? They hadn't updated it since 2004 or something like that, 2006. And about 11 days before the train wreck, and the first time in 17 years, they updated the info sheet for that specific chemical right before the accident that happened, right? So that's one. And they actually updated it with less information about how to protect your kids from it, how to do like the cancer aspects to it.
What's the name of it again?
Vinyl chloride, I think.
The name alone sounds ridiculous.
Right. And so that part is interesting, right? The other part is when you start to really dive into this, they also had a movie just recently that released called White Noise that had Adam Driver on it as the star. And it was basically the exact plot of this movie. Now, here's what's weird about it. It was filmed in the same area, and actors from the like actual extras were from this town. And when I say it's like, it is just so like, go watch White Noise. The first half of the movie is all you need to watch. It's a weird movie. The first half is all that matters. It is unbelievably just pinpoint accurate to what they've got going on right now in Ohio. And that just released this year or last year, early last year, late last year on Netflix. And all of this stuff that's happening is just absolute just craziness, because now you think about that combined with all this stuff with the spy satellites, with the fact that this World War III stuff is about to start, really taking
Russia and China meeting together.
Russia, China meeting together.
Biden making a trip to the Ukraine, causing a literal causing Putin to suspend his treaty with America with regards to nuclear sites. This is escalating quickly, guys. And so the world is just in a weird spot, and the fact that the government continues to lie to us, and that we've just have these weird inconsistencies that you can't really pinpoint why, but it's too coincidental for it to not be associated with something. There's too many of those that have been happening. I just don't understand it, but I'll let everybody else do the smart research that I'm not capable of doing to find out. But it's just I just wanted to point that out. So ice up, government.
Ice up. That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night into Wednesday morning we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Got a lot of cool stuff on YouTube's. The YouTube's Convince Me to Care, where Cody Lashney tries to convince the curmudgeon dad to care. What the irony about this is that he doesn't care about David Geddes, and I don't care about fucking Shi Smith. That, though, is a fun show where Cody Lashney trying to in the first episode, my man tried to convince me to draft a fucking tight end at 9.
How about guns blazing, baby? What else can I say?
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier again. But we got a lot of good content. We're close to 5,000 views. Subs. Hit us up, man. We've been growing, and it's growing because we want this to be a community. I don't want this show to be about me. I want it to be about us. Cody Lack, how can they get after you as we engage in that community?
Yes, sir. You can find me at Cody Lack, CODYLAC, on Twitter. This Thursday, there's going to be a brand new mock draft up on drafttech.com where I write comments for the Carolina Panthers and made draft picks for the Carolina Panthers. So check that out. That's drafttech.com. And every Friday at 7 p.m., we've got the most inclusive Panther podcast show that there is in all of YouTube's land, man. It's the C3 Friday Free for All every Friday at 7 p.m. You can be a part of the show. Join the show via StreamYard, just like we're doing right now, and tell us what you think about these Carolina Panthers and these coaches. That's every Friday at 7 p.m.
CK, make them moist one last time.
Yeah, you can find me on social media under Codizzle Ellen. But and here, obviously, we'll be here every Tuesday, and hopefully some more content. Yeah, just right now.
The Saturday of the Combine, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Let's shoot for a watch along. We'll bring people in, as many people kind of do it like Friday free for all style, maybe, and watch the Combine come and go, right? Because that's not one of the things that you need to sit all day. Like, that's the great thing about the Combine. You can like clean your house and watch it at the same time. So you watch it for 20 minutes and then you go do something and come back. Greg, so we might do those watch alongs, but they can watch along with you at times talking about really the coolest things that aren't the Carolina Panthers. How can they get after you?
All kinds of stuff, man. Yeah, you can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter, and check out my other show, Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. We cover all kinds of different media, books, television shows, movies, all the fun stuff out there. We watch it, talk about it, and keep up with it as it goes. And then during the basketball playoffs, there may be another playoff podcast that pops up temporarily to test the waters, just to see, just so we can show everybody why the NBA playoffs are so much better than the NFL playoffs.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Get us out of here. Let's get out of here, Cody. God, you know what? That's dumber than betting on Shi Smith.
Yeah, that's dumber than anything else Tony said in the past few weeks.
Any team can win a game any day. It takes the best team to win best out of 7. That's all I'm saying.
And it only takes them 2 fucking years as we all go to sleep between the least physical game, and they have to take more days off than damn NFL. Get us out of here, Cody Lashney. We don't take days off.
That's right.
Football.